The weakest talent. Have you heard of Senju? This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1 Just transmigrated. Do you want me to awaken my talent? Elemental, Wind, D-Class, Beast, Wolf, D-Class. Ye Chen was in the group, and they were holding an awakening ceremony point in this world. Everyone awakens their talents when they reach the age of 18. Elemental classes, beasts, and some special classes, and Ye Chen is not from this world. To be precise, not the soul of this world. Ye Chen didn't understand the scene in front of him. How can I change the world when I wake up? You want me to awaken my talent? The 18 years before I co-authored was in vain. I saw several mentors holding tablets in their hands, recording the talents of each awakened person. Although there are not many types of awakening, there are strong and weak points. Ye Chen has a headache now. What should I do when it's my turn? Just bite the bullet. Just when Ye Chen was distressed, an excited voice sounded in front of him. Special class, Spirit I, Strength B level. The teacher was even more excited than the students. Before the students could be happy, the teacher's face almost turned into a chrysanthemum with a smile. At the same time, major leaders in the school are also watching this awakening ceremony. This year's students are not good. It took so long to get the first B level. I can't say that. Last year, there wasn't much movement. In the end, there was an S-class student, Zhang Daosheng, sat in the first place and silently listened to the conversations of the directors. You're talking about Zhang Yuan, right? Fire element S level strength. It is said that he has awakened the 3 realms now. A teacher sitting in the back pushed his glasses and said. Everyone was silent. In this world, talent can only be awakened at the age of 18, and there are many geniuses who awaken on their own. And the existence of high school is not to teach the other party to be strong. In fact, their main task is to teach students how to be human, be a qualified person, be a useful person for the human race. Therefore, the strength of teachers is not particularly strong. Few of the teachers present were from the mountains, so they were silent. After all, a student who just graduated from school has surpassed himself. There is still a huge gap between people. Well, that's not something we should worry about. Zhang Daosheng took a deep breath and broke the silence. What we can teach them has already been taught. If there are really good seedlings, the school will not treat them badly. But Zhang Daosheng didn't say more, but everyone present knew it. Awakening talent from early in the morning. Seeing the scorching sun in the sky. In this hot summer, the temperature is skyrocketing. At present, there are not even half of the people who have awakened their talents. Ye Chen looked back at the long dragon behind him, and the corners of his eyes twitched helplessly. It seems that I'm relatively lucky, at least not in the last place. Upgraded beasts. Gale two-headed wolf. A rank. Wow. The whole square instantly set off a storm. Finally, A level strength genius. The talent of upgraded beasts is incredible. My neighbor's cousin-in-law's brother is a B-level upgraded beast talent. When he reaches the mountain moving realm, he transforms into a beast, a handsome batch. Yes, the talents of upgraded beasts are really rare, but they are also strong. By the way, brother, what kind of upgraded beast talent is your neighbor's cousin-in-law? His brother. I'm afraid to scare you. It's a demon-eyed pig. Excuse me. Ye Chen was speechless, thinking how much he was hanging. Unexpectedly, it is a pig, or the most common low-level upgraded beast in the market. Ye Chen looked forward, the talent awakening ball in front of the teacher, a burst of fire in the eyes. I want to stand on the top of this world. Elemental class, Wood class, C level. After experiencing the impact of the previous upgraded beast, the teacher who recorded it seems to have despised C level. I saw him shaking his head and sighing and said, C level strength is very good, but unfortunately the wood type talent can only be used as a support, and the healing ability is more outstanding. The girl who had been elated suddenly froze. The teacher saw the change in the girl's mood and comforted, but as a medical staff, I can also make an outstanding contribution to the human race. The girl, who was originally in a depressed mood, Felt a lot better. When she heard this sentence point, I said thank you to the teacher and left point, and their conversation was also heard clearly by Ye Chen. Next person. Ye Chen took a step forward, and in front of him was the long-awaited talent ball. My heart is very uneasy. My soul is not from this world. What if you don't have talent? It seems that everyone can wake up. What if I can't wake up? Then am I not an outlier in this world? Classmates, adjust your mood. Relax. Tension is inevitable. Ye Chen took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. He stretched out his arm. Just as he was about to put it on for a moment, variation is rife. An icy blue beam of light rose from the sky. In an instant, the scorching sun and the entire square was swept away by this cold air. Even this chill directly suppressed the current high temperature of 40 degrees. Human race. A real dragon has appeared. I'm Zhang He City. A real dragon has appeared. Zhang Daosheng jumped up from his chair and went straight to the square. All of you here have never seen such a scene, and your eyes have been straightened for a long time. With Zhang Daosheng's departure, there was only the sound of swallowing in the entire office. Above the square, the eyes of thousands of people focused on the figure below the ice blue beam of light. It was a girl in a blue dress. The word indifference seemed to be engraved on her cheek. Blue home. Blue cold double. People live up to their name. Blue goddess. As expected, she's still so good. Study well, grow well, have a good family background, and have a good talent. God opened a door for you and opened a window for you. I envy me. Nonsense. Obviously I closed a door for you and sealed the window for you. By the way, what level of talent is this? Isn't it outrageous? Ye Chen's arm that was about to put the awakening ball stopped. Is this the awakening ceiling? Looking up at the icy blue beam of light rising from the sky, it slowly dissipated over time. Ye Chen's eyes are full of desire for strength, elemental, class, ice, talent SSS level. As the ice blue light beam disappeared, the teacher also came back to his senses and announced Lan Lengxiang's talent. With this announcement, the audience went silent. A talent for SSS strength? The Lan family is about to soar into the sky. Zhang He City is going to be famous. Zhang He number 1 middle school is going to be famous. When Zhang Daosheng arrived, the beam of light just disappeared. I saw that his eyes were extremely hot. After so many years, finally met an SSS level talent student. Ah, you willing to be my disciple? Some people always say that they can't understand the division of the realm. I'm a little silent, so I will post this sentence in today's latest chapter and the last page of the first chapter. Awaken the 9 realms, corresponding to body refinement. Move mountains and seas. 1 practice strength. 1 practice method. The stars. The spiritual power is greatly improved. Heoiu. Compared to the stars, how much spiritual power can you guess? The scorching sun, as above, can be thought of as the upper 3 realms are used to greatly increase the amount of mana and damage as for the semi-sacred ones further up. In fact, the scorching sun is full, and they have not yet entered the holy realm. Let's talk about the later realms later, but at the moment, I've only written about the holy realm, and there is also a foreshadowing of a demigod. This paragraph is 200 words long, but the chapters will also be filled with 2000 words. I hope you don't mind. Chapter to the weakest talent, wood type. Is this not right? Zhang Daosheng's voice sounded, and all the students in the square were stunned. Does the principal personally accept apprentices? Lan Lengxiang's pretty face was stunned for a moment, and her brows were slightly wrinkled. Sorry, I'm a teacher. I need to discuss with my family. Lan Lengxiang is naturally clear that after apprenticeship, he must follow the teacher to his school. This is no small thing. Zhang Daosheng's eyes were obviously disappointed, but they soon disappeared. He smiled and said, yes, this kind of thing should be discussed with the family first, and I will wait for your reply. Thank you, principal, for understanding. Zhang Daosheng nodded, turned to the teacher beside him and instructed, continue to awaken. Next, Ye Chen's hand didn't know how long it had been above the awakening ball, and he didn't let it go. The teacher said with a strange expression, classmate, it's okay, talent is this thing. Ye Chen's eyes narrowed, and he stroked the awakening ball with his palm. It is detected that the host begins to awaken his talent, and the Wanji system is automatically bound. As If time had stopped, the teacher looked at Ye Chen in shock. No movement? No talent? Holy crap, what kind of weirdo did Laozi meet? And Ye Chen is also full of shock. System! Exclamation mark. Protagonist standard? 4. The first time binding the system, a gold level talent will be randomly selected. Start. Extracting talents. Ye Chen is stupid. I haven't reacted yet. In front of him, a turntable appeared on which the heavens and dimensions were written. The turntable stopped over the dimension options: One Piece, Hokage Ninja, Demon Slayer, 7 Dragon Ball, Shinigami. Ye Chen looks weird. Is this system serious? With the automatic rotation of the turntable, Ye Chen was speechless, so he didn't need me for anything. Successfully selected Hokage Ninja World. Then the turntable disappeared, and what appeared in front of Ye Chen again was a Gashapon machine. This system is absolutely insane. Successfully drawn blood following the Limitwood style. Has successfully converted chakra into this world aura. Ye Chen laughed. Wood style? Exclamation mark. Senju Han's pervert level wood style. Classmate, the teacher was embarrassed and didn't know how to talk to Ye Chen. I can't say a word. Classmate, you have no talent. It's useless. But the next moment, he began to doubt life. The awakening ball, which was originally motionless, suddenly shook violently. A burst of greenness is coming. Like the previous ice blue beam of light, it shot straight to the sky. Fuck. The teacher couldn't help but exclaimed. The green light dyed the whole sky green. Not even the clouds escaped. Zhang Daosheng, who was halfway back to the office, was stupid. What's the situation? Why is my head green? No, why is the sky above me green? Fuck, the boss is awesome. One person has greened a city. Got fucking green a city. He even green beasts. Wooden. This boss must be the ceiling of the medical world in the future. The green beam of light dissipated, and Ye Chen breathed a sigh of relief. I thought I was going to be the first untalented person in the world. So far so good. Zhang Daosheng is here again, looking at Ye Chen with a weird face. Good guy. It's you kid, who made all the people in Zhanghai City green again. Elemental, wood, SSS class. Ye Chen also raised his head and looked at Zhang Daosheng, thinking in his heart, good guy, won't this boss accept me as a disciple too? Unfortunately, you are of the wood type, and your combat power is too poor. I can't teach you medical type combat skills. Zhang Daosheng shook his head regretfully. Wood element? Weak combat ability. If Senju idiots heard this, maybe he would be crying in the toilet now. Looking at the principal with a strange expression, he asked, can't the wood system fight? It's not impossible. Just wait until you reach the mountain moving state and awaken your second talent. If it's not from the auxiliary department, then there's no problem. Ye Chen was speechless. Come on, this world has too much ambiguity for the wood system. Zhang Daosheng solemnly comforted Ye Chen. It's alright. The wood system is also very good. At least you will have no worries in the future. And even when your healing ability is strong enough, someone will ask you to help people. As he spoke, he patted Ye Chen's shoulder lightly and muttered before leaving, what a good boy. This year's Zhanghai City is likely to be lively. First, there are SSS Ice type Storm Control type Lan Lengxiang, and SSS Wood type support Ye Chen. This year's college entrance examination training, there is hope to win the top 3 in the country. After all, the first place in the college entrance examination last year only had 2 SSS grades. Thinking of this, Zhang Daosheng's depression was swept away. In my heart, I even imagined the scene where Lan Lengxiang was fighting in front, and Ye Chen was treating behind him. Brain to blame yides. After Ye Chen awakened his talent, all that was left was to receive the basic aura breathing technique. That is, cultivating the exercises to increase the speed of cultivation. The awakening of the 9 realms is called the lower 9 realms. Absorb spiritual energy, strengthen the body, store spiritual energy, and use talents more skillfully. And the aura breathing method is just that point. After receiving the basic breathing method, Ye Chen went home alone. In the original world, Ye Chen was a lonely person. Both parents died, and there was no one to rely on. Fortunately, I left a set of real estate and a small deposit of tens of thousands of yuan. But tens of thousands of dollars is certainly not enough for Ye Chen. After all, 3 years in high school and 4 years in college. What's more, in a different world now, Tens of thousands of dollars is not enough. Ye Chen just wants to sleep now. If you wake up and have not woken up from the dream point, if you wake up, you are still in this world point, but before that, you have to practice the Reiki breathing method point. Opening the Tonifer book, there are only a few short sentences and a few pictures on it point. The content of the words is to find spiritual energy, and the content of the picture is to adjust the way of breathing point. After a while, Ye Chen was able to use the breathing technique proficiently point, connect the breathing method with the talent, absorb the spiritual energy, naturally strengthen the talent, and strengthen the physical body. It's a strange feeling. I've never felt so comfortable. Ye Chen looked at the palm of his hand in surprise, full of surprises. In order to make money to support himself, Ye Chen had been in internet cafes and other places early on point, stay up all night to play games, play equipment and move bricks, etc. point. The teachers in the school also know about this, but they also turn a blind eye point. After all, it is Ye Chen's source of income, so it is not easy to persuade point, and for a long time, Ye Chen always felt that his body was not right point. Fatigue, sore back, sweaty hands and feet, lack of energy, tired no matter what point. But it's different now. The moment this spiritual energy entered the body felt refreshed point. After strengthening the physical body, a little spiritual energy is stored in the body point, and wood style has a passive. This passive is a bit pervert, repairing the damage of the body all the time. Ultimate self-healing ability brought by wood style, and physical enhancement brought by Reiki. Chapter 3. Someone from Kyoto University? Sudden change. Feeling the spiritual energy in the body nourishing the body, Ye Chen's heart and Kning couldn't help but feel excited. Senju Han's wood style really pervert. This also surprised Ye Chen, and now wood style has replaced the wood style point in the original book. The wood style he was born was derived from the divine tree point. Nature is not comparable to ordinary wood element. Dang. Dang dang. A knock on the door suddenly sounded, and Ye Chen was stunned. Will someone knock on my door? With the idea of finding the wrong home, he asked, who is it? Hello, classmate Yi, I'm Chen Dang from Kyoto University. The person outside the door immediately introduced his identity point, although it didn't make sense. Everyone knew it. Ye Chen was stunned. What the hell? Kyoto University, so fast. Not long after the talent was measured, and it came to the door in less than 3 hours. It's no wonder that Ye Chen's talent has been uploaded to various universities and the military from the moment he awakened his talent point. Ye Chen was a little flattered when the admissions teacher from Kyoto University suddenly came to the door, but after thinking about his current situation, Ye Chen calmed down. After all, there are too few people in the human race who have SSS level talents every year, although in their hearts, their wood type talent cannot be used as the main battle force point, but a SSS class futuristic auxiliary ceiling. Thinking of this, Ye Chen also adjusted his mentality point. Now is the time to negotiate terms with them. Ye Chen led several admissions teachers from Kyoto University into the house. The house is rather shabby. It doesn't matter, it's a shabby house, but I'm Dexin. I think it's pretty good. Chen Dang didn't mind. After all, he had already inquired about Ye Chen's family environment before coming here point, but the young man behind him was a little disdainful. As a top student at Kyoto University, this time he just followed the school's arrangement point. By the way, help the family find some talented seedlings and make plans for the future. Of course Ye Chen also noticed the disdain in the young man's eyes, but he didn't take it seriously. Mr. Chen, let's get straight to the point. What kind of conditions can Kyoto University give me? Ye Chen brought 2 glasses of boiled water and said put the water in front of Chen Dang. Sorry, there is only boiled water at home. It's okay. Chen Dang smiled slightly then suddenly got up. Awakening. The financial resources that need to be spent are too huge, scarce. Resources such as spirit stones, or attribute equipment, or breathing techniques. If classmate Yi agrees to choose Kyoto University, I promise that I will take out 100 spirit stones, 1 piece of wood attribute equipment, and 1 special breathing method. Chen Dong's sincerity is also full. Hundreds of spirit stones exchanged for the unified currency. There are about 10 million. A single spirit stone is worth 100,000 yuan. Including wood attribute equipment and breathing techniques, there are almost 10 million. I see the sincerity of Kyoto University, but I still have to think about it. Ye Chen was silent for a moment, then slowly replied. Chen Dong was also stunned for a moment. The value of 20 million. Can't win a student. Then he smiled dryly and shook his head. In his heart, Ye Chen is now like a powerful child, just wanting to get more resources. Although Chen Dong thought so, he didn't say much. Instead, he politely handed out a business card. I understand, classmate Ye. This is my business card. You can contact me after you think about it. Ye Chen took the business card with a weird expression on his face. Good guy. Now college admissions teachers have business cards. Thanks. Out of courtesy, Ye Chen was about to say thank you, country bumpkin. Just wake up to a talent and think you're superior. As soon as this sentence came out, Chen Dong secretly thought that it was not good. For a time, the atmosphere was very awkward. Ye Chen and Chen Dong frowned. Ye Chen was simply inexplicable. This person seemed to be hostile to himself. As soon as he entered the door, now rude again. However, Chen Dong was very annoyed and shouted wildly in his heart. I said long ago not to let this prince follow me, right? Are you alright now? Do you still say this at a time like this? Although Ye Chen is a wood type talent, if he grows well in the future, are you afraid that you won't be able to win over a master with your first hand healing ability? What do you mean? Ye Chen narrowed his eyes and smiled at the young man beside Chen Dong. What do you mean? You're really interesting. We, Kyoto University, came to recruit you to give you face. What qualifications do you have to consider? Yanfeng. Shut up. Chen Dong scolded fiercely. These playboys from the capital are more than enough to fail. Teacher, you think too highly of Ye Chen, but he's just a wood class. No matter how strong he is, he's just an assistant. Yanfeng continued dissatisfied. I understand. Ye Chen was still smiling, as if he didn't feel the slightest bit about Yanfeng's words. Since your school's view of me is just that, then please go back. Chen Dong was helpless and sighed deeply. Student, you think carefully. Our school's sincerity is definitely enough. After he got up, he was about to say goodbye. Sudden accident. Boy, you really don't know what to do. I saw Yanfeng suddenly burst out with fierce fire. Ye Chen's face changed greatly. Yanfeng opened his palm. A flame appeared in the palm of his hand, and he squeezed it hard. Flame. Fist. A punch hit Ye Chen. Stop. Do you want to kill him? As an admissions teacher, in fact, his cultivation base is not high, and he is just running errands for the school. If you really value Ye Chen, then Chen Dong will not come here. With the cultivation base of Yanfeng awakening the 5 realms. With this punch, Ye Chen was either killed or injured. After all, Ye Chen's talent awakened only today. Ye Chen became more and more calm in times of crisis. When I recalled Senju's hands ninjutsu, I instantly thought of a wood-style defensive technique. But Ye Chen, who just had the spiritual energy, was not sure. After all, I haven't tested whether I can use ninjutsu. Logically speaking, this wood style should be different from the wood system. Wood style requires good practice, while wood style only needs aura. Logically speaking, as long as the aura is enough, you can use true several thousand hands at the moment. But this is just Ye Chen's guess up to now. The arrow has to be sent on the string. Fight. Ye Chen put his hands together. Wooden ingot wall. Chen Dong was stunned. What? Just woke up and realized the talent. Awakening 9 realms. 1 realm has 1 talent. Ye Chen has already awakened? Clown. Can you save you by clapping your hands and shouting, Yan? Feng laughed and laughed madly. With this blow, Ye Chen won't die, but he will definitely be seriously injured. And 2 months later is the college entrance examination. Although it is an SSS talent, it will definitely fail in the trial. In his eyes, he seemed to have seen Ye Chen lying unconscious on the ground, but in the next instant, Yanfeng's smile disappeared. Just after Ye Chen finished shouting, 2 rows of wood suddenly appeared on the floor of the living room. The wood instantly formed a circular shield in front of Ye Chen. Keep Ye Chen in it. Chapter 4 Zhang Daosheng and -039's desperate gamble. How is that possible? Yan Feng was dumbfounded. Its style. It's concrete. This is inside the house. How did the wood come out? Yan Feng's fist hit the wooden ingot wall, and a huge vibration sounded. Yan Feng's face changed greatly. Even Chendong, who was beside him, widened his eyes. A shockwave bounced from the wall of the wooden ingot. Flame! Exclamation mark. Bounced off by wood. How is this possible? This unscientific. This. Classmate, it's very impolite to make a sudden move. At this moment, Ye Chen's voice sounded. The two stunned people reacted. What? Are you? Yan Feng was furious. The flame is restrained by wood. If this is spread out, do you still need to mix? Ye Chen drew out the wood and slowly formed a spike. Just like the ninjutsu cutting technique, to create a wooden knife. Under the eyes of the two, the wooden ingot wall slowly opened a gap in the middle. Ye Chen seized the opportunity and the wooden thorn stabbed out. Yan Feng didn't react at all. The wooden thorn pierced directly into his right shoulder, and the severe pain made him scream. This is just a lesson. There is no next time. Ye Chen said with a gloomy face. His tone was full of murderous intent. Chendong understood that, if there were no other people around, Ye Chen would have killed Yan Feng. You. Yan Feng was furious. What? Am I? Do you want one for your left shoulder? Chen Dong stepped forward quickly and stopped Yan Feng, who was still trying to speak. He said to Ye Chen, this time it's Yan Feng who has gone too far. As he said that, he took out two strange stones from his briefcase. This is an apology for you. The house is in a mess. Ye Chen looked at the two stones, crystal clear the moment it appeared. The spiritual energy in the air instantly became a lot richer. It is also clear that this should be the so-called spirit stone. Immediately nodded. Forget it this time. Next time. The threatening tone in the words is clear at a glance. Yan Feng didn't interrupt, but he was still dissatisfied. When Laozi returns to Kyoto and tries to kill you, you better not come to Kyoto. Chendong hurriedly pulled Yan Feng over and prepared to leave. Student. Yi, contact us again. We'll go first. Ye Chen smiled and watched the two leave. Come again next time. Chendong's footsteps were a little faster. He didn't even take the elevator. He just ran up the stairs. Ye Chen's voice came from behind. Next time, bring more spirit stones. Chen Dong's embarrassed batch was very impressed with Ye Chen. Judging from Ye Chen's current strength. It's not the wood of the auxiliary system, more like defense. But how did that thorn come from? Talented skills. It's impossible to wake up to the second realm in just a few hours, right? When Yan Feng left, the gloomy cheeks were almost dripping with water. Ye Chen knew very well that this kid would definitely take revenge on him. But at that time, there was no outsider. After sending the two away, Ye Chen slumped on the sofa. Just use a technique. The spiritual energy of the body is basically emptied. Fortunately, that guy was cowardly and didn't continue to attack. It seems that we still have to raise the realm quickly. If we go on like this, let alone through several thousand hands, the wooden dragon can't use it. Thinking of this, Ye Chen shook his head depressedly, thinking that he would be directly invincible. What made Ye Chen even more puzzling was that no second university came to him until late at night. Awakening is too expensive, and there is no combat ability in the early stage, so it is difficult to accumulate money. The way to make money with assistive abilities is to treat people. Small wounds don't need you, but big ones can't be cured. Not much to earn. After all, no matter how good your talent is, you can't treat people in the upper 3 realms. When you awaken the 9 realms, the boundaries are too different. Therefore, in the eyes of other schools, talents with strong combat power must be the priority. For example, in the Lanlang Shuan family, the 3 top universities of the human race are already arguing. Of course, none of these Ye Chen knew. He is still working on the system he has at the moment. After the system interface is opened, a countdown is greeted. The countdown to the gate of the heavens is available. 12. 23. The overly simple system interface. Ye Chen knows this is the countdown. After the time is over, you can have a chance to obtain other world items. But Ye Chen was a little speechless, saying it was a door, but it was a lottery turnable. Hey, I always feel that this system is not perfect. Shouldn't you give me some training resources? No matter how much talent there is, what's the use without resources? Having said that, Ye Chen's eyes suddenly paused, and he took out the two spirit stones left by Chen Dong from his pocket. The moment the Lingxi was held in his hand, a cool touch came. Although I had already experienced the benefits of the spirit stone, before I got it. Hold the spirit stone in your hand and run the breathing technique to absorb the aura in the spirit stone. Don't ask how you know, just ask. Du Niang's good teaching. Zhang He number 1. Middle school has long been a mess. Major schools came to inspect, and a small city produced 2 SSS level talents naturally. He became famous instantly. Zhang Daosheng was too busy for a while. 3 top schools, as well as major other colleges. Zhang Daosheng, who had been busy until midnight, suddenly felt that being the principal was not a good choice. After all, he is also a strong person in the upper 3 realms. But he is actually exhausted. Then he suddenly remembered something, took out his mobile phone, and made a call. Old Lee, I said earlier about that wooden boy, have you gone? The person on the other end of the phone didn't answer immediately. I forgot. Zhang Daosheng was stunned. People from Kyoto have been there today, and I don't think I need to go. The man known as Leo Li spoke again. Zhang Daosheng was silent for a while after hearing the words. Although I have been to the capital, I think you should go. There are too many geniuses in Kyoto, so I don't think you will spend too much energy on an auxiliary person. If you train an auxiliary department to become a powerhouse in the upper 3 realms, it will cost too much money. When Liemo heard the words, he calculated a few points in his heart, just as Zhang Daosheng said. Even if Kyoto recruited Ye Chen, it would not have given too many conditions. Zhang Daosheng said again, our school has not produced a strong person who can top the human race for many years. I want to give it a try. Even if the future Ye Chen will still only be a supporter, I hope he can support the name of the Sky Academy and become a god of the healing department. Let him become the legend of the first auxiliary system of the human race. Li Mo took a deep breath. Of course he knew what Zhang Daosheng meant. Zhang Daosheng originally chose Lan Lengxiang, but unfortunately, the other party did not choose Kangqiang Academy because he was the principal. You sure do. You want to play such a big game, okay, Liemo. Your taciturn personality has collapsed. Zhang Daosheng smiled, and his tone was firm. I'm sure. Chapter 5 The Sincerity of the Sky Academy. On the Kyoto University side, Chen Dong had already reported the specific situation of Ye Chen. And the fact that Yanfeng was injured by Ye Chen. However, the upper management didn't seem to be interested in Ye Chen, which made Chen Dong very puzzled. Could it be that Kyoto University is so powerful that even such a genius doesn't take it seriously? What Chen Dong never dreamed of was that this was of course Yanfeng's handwriting. It may be difficult to get a person to enter Kyoto University. But it is too simple to make one person unable to enter Kyoto University. Of course, Chen Dong has completed his task, visiting Ye Chen and reporting the situation. The rest is not something that an admissions teacher can manage. Ye Chen sat cross-legged on the ground. The spirit stone in his hand was dissipating at a speed visible to the naked eye. And Ye Chen's body has also undergone earth-shaking changes. The 9 realms of awakening correspond to the 9 major systems of the human body. The improvement of each realm represents the human body breaking through a limit. In other words, awakening the 9 realms is to strengthen the physical body. As a shackle in the body shattered like a rupture, a vibration sound came from the body. Ye Chen suddenly opened his eyes. His expression couldn't hide the joy. It turns out, it's so easy to break through the realm. If other people hear this, I'm afraid they will give you 2 slaps. Liemo, who was already standing at the door of Ye Chen's house, was about to knock on the door, but noticed a wave of broken mirrors. The eyes are full of shock. How is this possible? Awakened today, broke the mirror in a few hours. Suppressing the joy in his heart, he knocked on Ye Chen's door. Dang. Dang dang. When Liemo came, he was in a very uneasy mood. Even if he was an SSS level talent, if he didn't work hard, he wouldn't be able to become a great talent. But now he has only one purpose. He must take Ye Chen into the sky. Before Ye Chen's inner joy dissipated, he heard a knock on the door. But what Ye Chen didn't notice was that his hearing also improved to a certain extent after the mirror was broken. Ye Chen looked at the time. 2 in the morning? What's wrong? Who is it in the middle of the night? Liemo swallowed and calmed down the moment the door opened. Liemo stretched out his hands. He held Ye Chen's hand in a lightning fast manner. Student. Ye, come to our school. Ye Chen was stunned, watching his hand being pulled over by Liemo. The corners of his eyes kept twitching with disgust on his face. He pulled out his hand. Uncle. Who are you? Only then did Liemo react. He stepped into the door and took Ye Chen's hand to sit on the sofa. This, I'll tell you in detail. Come, sit first. Ye Chen? Is this your house or mine? Like an ugly daughter-in-law seeing her mother-in-law, Liemo took Ye Chen's hand and said softly, my name is Liemo. You are Ye Chen, right? Sure enough, Zhang Daosheng is right. How handsome he looks. Ye Chen is stunned. What is this operation? How do you feel that there is a sense of sight that you want to say to me? If Zhang Daosheng saw Liemo's performance today, his jaw would drop in surprise. Are you sure this is a taciturn Liemo? How do I feel that his main business is doing public relations? Uncle, let's talk directly. If we have something to say, Ye Chen said in disgust. Haha, cool. Then I'll cut to the chase. On behalf of Kankyang Academy, I hope that Ye is joining. Liemo suddenly became serious. Ye Chen was stunned. 2 in the morning? College admissions. Hold my hand. You sure? Wait. Are you serious? School? Ye Chen's strange face was noticed by Liemo. School will do our best to train you to become a powerhouse in the upper 3 realms. Ye Chen suddenly turned his head to stare at Liemo and forgot to close his mouth. You serious? Of course. A gentleman's words are hard to follow. Are you a fraud? Let me tell you, I downloaded the National Anti-Fraud app. Liemo's head is full of black lines. You are the one who cheated. In terms of spirit stones, we will support your use unconditionally. As much as you can use every day, the academy will give you as much. In terms of economy, I have 10 million in this card. You can use it first. After Liemo finished speaking, he didn't know where to take out a black card. Ye Chen looked at Liemo and didn't seem to be joking. His brows were slightly wrinkled. I'm just a wood type. Shouldn't it be worth all your efforts for me? And you also know how valuable the conditions I'm talking about are worth. Liemou's eyes narrowed. It's easy to deal with smart people. Sky Academy requires you. Even if you graduate, you must be named a professor in the academy. And when you become a powerhouse in the upper 3 realms, you must stand up when the academy is in crisis. Ye Chen bowed his head and pondered. This condition is too simple. Liemo seemed to see through Ye Chen's thoughts. These 2 conditions are basically not conditions, but it has been 10 years since the Sky Academy has accepted students with SSS level talent, and even SS level talents are a minority. For so many years, I have been hovering at the end of the first class famous schools. If there are no top talented students this year, I'm afraid that they will fall into the second class. Ye Chen was silent. So, in the sky, a genius is urgently needed. Even if it is an auxiliary department. That guy Zhang Daosheng told me that he wanted to create a god. The god of the auxiliary department is also a god. Ye Chen looked back at Liemo. Zhang Daosheng. I heard Liemo mention this name before, and now I think about it carefully. This name seems to be the principal of Zhanghe No. 1 Middle School, right? Yes, the principal of Zhanghe No. 1 Middle School. Liemo seems to be a little unspeakable. A first-class prestigious school has not recruited SSS level students for 10 consecutive years. No matter what you think, although the SSS level is small, there are 2 billion people in the human race who turn 18 every year. There are nearly 10 SSS level talented teenagers over the past 10 years among the hundreds of students. None of them have chosen Sky Academy. Ye Chen smiled. When Liemo saw Ye Chen's smile, he was at a loss for words. Is this a mockery of Kankyang Academy? But Ye Chen suddenly raised his head and looked at Liemo. How many spirit stones are there on your body? Seeing that Ye Chen didn't speak, Liemo thought it was hopeless. He knew that Ye Chen came to say such a sentence. He thought he heard it wrong and subconsciously opened his mouth. What? I said, how many spirit stones are there on my body? I can absorb as much as I agreed, and you can give as much as you want. Let's start with 1,800 stones. I have a big appetite, Lee. Mo's eyes widened. You agree? Of course, Mr. Lee. Please give me more advice in the future, Lee. Mo was overjoyed and took a few from his pocket. It slammed on the table with a thud. That's all I have on me now. Wait for me tomorrow. No, I'll explain the situation to the dean now and send a batch of spirit stones here first. Saying that, I immediately took out my phone from my pocket. Okay, you have quite a lot of stuff in your pocket. Ye Chen hurriedly stopped him. It's not too bad these few hours. Don't disturb the dean and his old man, Lee. Mo looked at Ye Chen with a strange expression. Old man? But not much point. After discussing and completing other things, Mo bid farewell to Ye Chen. In Mo's words, Ye Chen entered Kankyang Academy, and Kankyang Academy will help Ye Chen to become a powerhouse in the upper 3 realms at all costs. Student. Ye. Then I'll go first. If you need anything, you can contact Leo Zhang or me. Ye Chen nodded. Okay. Watching. Mo leave. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Sky Academy. Interesting. Chapter 6. Ye Chen with his own irritating attributes. While talking with Mo, Ye Chen also learned some things that he was not clear about. For example, what exactly is the upper 3 realms? For example, the patron saint of the current human race. Another example is the college entrance examination and the practice of the college entrance examination. After Ye Chen understood, the whole person fell into deep thought. The 9 realms of awakening represent the breakthrough of the 9 major systems of the human body, so the second realm is called the second realm. 2 of these are not 2 of that. Moving mountains corresponds to breaking all laws with 1 force. The inverted sea state corresponds to the magic town of Kyankan. To put it in a human way, it is to move mountains to practice strength, and to fall into the sea to practice skills. Then there are the upper 3 realms, the starry realm, the bright moon realm, and the scorching sun realm. Further up is the Holy Land. It is also the realm where the strongest human race is at the moment. In this world, the content of the college entrance examination is knowledge plus 3 views plus strength. Some talents are not good, but students with good academic performance have the opportunity to join the Human Race Research Institute. And the 3 views are to look at your views on the human race, the world, and values. But it is often the most deadly topic. After all, people with full marks also know how to become 0 points, not to mention strength. Naturally, it is the practice of the college entrance examination. Compared to the first 2, the most important thing at the moment is strength. The human race really lacks top combat power. Ye Chen took a deep breath. What he learned today took a certain amount of time to digest. The most urgent task is to improve the realm. Ye Chen looked at the dozen or so spirit stones left by Mo on the table and grabbed them unceremoniously. There is still a long way to go. I just don't know if this system will only give talents compared to talent. What I need now is resources. Woodstyle has given me the capital to be a first-class combat power. I have to say that Ye Chen's insights into the situation are pretty good. The difference between wood style and wood system is too great. Take the most rogue move, wood clone. You can't do this wood system, can you? The practice of breathing method is extremely simple, and after practice, even sleep is practiced. But the intake of Reiki is definitely not as much as actively running the breathing method. In other words, you can also use spirit stones when you are sleeping. Ye Chen shook his head abruptly. The top priority now is to become stronger, and the rest will not be considered for the time being. They come. The security. This world is much more interesting than I imagined. Ye Chen couldn't help showing a smile. His eyes were full of ambition. With such a mood, Ye Chen fell asleep. When I woke up the next day, I received a text message from Mo. The dean gave permission. After waking up, ask Leo Zhang for the spirit stone. Ye Chen glanced at the text message and turned off the phone. I bought a breakfast on the side of the road and came to school. The next Zhanghe number 1 middle school will be divided into 2 teaching methods. One is to exercise strength with people who are talented enough, and the other is to continue to learn knowledge. And it is divided into awakening class and knowledge class. Therefore, the 3rd grade of high school where Ye Chen was originally was also forcibly broken up. And Ye Chen's SSS level talent, although in their eyes, is an auxiliary system point, but it was also assigned to the awakening class. Lingxi, mentor, and treatment are all the highest treatment that Zhanghe number 1 middle school can afford. The moment Ye Chen stepped into the new class, the eyes of the entire class were attracted to Ye Chen. After all, Zhanghe number 1 middle school is only a high school in a small city. Except for Lan Lengxiang's talent for attacking SSS. There are only 2 S-rank talents. Not even SS rank. And Lan Lengxiang's family background is there. After awakening his talent, he naturally does not need school teaching. Her goal now is to fully prepare for the college entrance examination. So now in school, the only SSS talent I can see is Ye Chen. Seeing more than 30 pairs of eyes in the class looking at him, Ye Chen was stunned. I was thinking, what are you staring at me for? Ye Chen couldn't help but said, I'm so handsome today. Are you all staring at me? It's okay to attract some girls, man. What do? I don't do it. Did he wake up SSS talent too happy? Then go crazy? My hen. It's possible. I think he just forgot to take his medicine. You said, is there a possibility that he took too much medicine today? There were whispers in the whole classroom, and the scene was very embarrassing for a while. Just when Ye Chen was about to speak again, a cough came from behind him. Cough. This classmate, please go back to your seat. Ye Chen looked back and saw an unfamiliar face. Thinking that he should be the tutor of the school's new recruit, he nodded at the teacher and silently returned to his seat. Hello, classmates. I'm your tutor, and my name is Zhang Zilei. In the next 2 months, you will complete a series of physical training under my hands. I hope you can persevere, strive for a better score in the college entrance examination, and win glory for Zhanghe number 1 middle school. Speaking of which, Zhang Zilei took out a roster and began to roll names. Ye Chen, arrive. Zhang Zilei looked up. Your training is not under my control. The principal is waiting for you in the office. Wow. In an instant, the entire classroom screamed in surprise. The principal has accepted Ye Chen as a disciple. Impossible. Ye Chen is an auxiliary department. But apart from this possibility, do you think there are other possibilities? There is only one truth. That is, Ye Chen is the principal's illegitimate child. Zhang Zilei's eyes twitched. Quiet. My dad has an illegitimate child? How the hell didn't I know? Seeing that Ye Chen was indifferent, Zhang Zilei continued. Why don't you go? Wait for me to carry the sedan chair and invite you? Ye Chen stood up abruptly, scratching the back of his head embarrassedly. So polite. I don't mind if you insist on doing it. Zhang Zilei was speechless. Get out. Get out. I'm afraid this kid doesn't have an infuriating talent, right? Looking angry, Ye Chen ran away and immediately came to Zhang Daosheng's office. Dang that. Uncle Principal, can I come in? Zhang Daosheng was speechless. Uncle Principal, what the hell? Please, come in. Before Zhang Daosheng finished speaking, Ye Chen walked in long ago and sat on the sofa immediately. Zhang Daosheng is stupid. Do you have your own talent for being irritating? Looking so angry. Well, as expected of the father and son, the ideas are so consistent. Uncle, what about the spiritual stone that Laoli asked you to give me? Zhang Daosheng took a deep breath, suppressed his anger, and said calmly, before I give you the spirit stone, can I ask why I'm an uncle, and is he Laoli? That old thing is 2 years older than me. Mistakes. Old Zhang. What? Lingxi. Chapter 7. This system can handle what is missing. Zhang Daosheng looked at Ye Chen angrily, took out a ring, and threw it to Ye Chen. There are 1,000 spirit stones in it. Come find me when you run out. Ye Chen caught the ring. Space ring. TSK. The kid has a good vision, and you know the space ring. Zhang Daosheng looked at Ye Chen in surprise. The price of this ring is much more valuable than the 1,000 spiritual stones. How much does the Kankiang Academy value you? Do you know it? Ye Chen looked at the ring in his hand. It was a pleasant surprise. Put it on your hand and look at it carefully. A trace of spiritual energy penetrated into the ring, and the dense spiritual stones inside were unobstructed. Old Zhang, thank you. Then I'm going back to class. What? Class? You don't need to go to class. Zhang Daosheng said directly to Ye Chen. And this good thing, Zhang Daosheng was helpless. You are an auxiliary department, and you don't have high requirements for combat. You only need to complete some physical training. After all, in the auxiliary department, your task is to save your own life and treat your teammates in time. So, your speed is important. You need to improve your fitness, he said. Ye Chen was silent. Zhang Daosheng was right. This is indeed what an assistant should do. Making sure you don't die is the most important thing. But the problem is, I'm not an assistant. So, your task in the future is to run around Zhanghai City every day. You won't need to use it for school or anything. Just absorb the spirit stones during the rest time. Oh, then I'm going back. Go. Ye Chen reluctantly set out on his way home, thinking he could learn something, but was told he didn't have to go to class. And Zhang Daosheng looked at Ye Chen's leaving figure, wondering what he was thinking about. He picked up the phone and dialed a number. Land Batian, I agree to your conditions. A heroic voice came from the other end of the phone. It's easy to say, although Xuanja will not worship you as a teacher, but in this way you can be regarded as half of Xuanja's master. Zhang Daosheng hung up the phone and silently lit a cigarette. Boy, that's all I can do for you. A puff of smoke was exhaled, and Zhang Daosheng looked up at the sky. Hope my choice is right. Auxiliary. Got Ye Chen returned home and started frantically absorbing spirit stones sitting cross-legged on the bed. There are hundreds of spirit stones beside him. The basic breathing method is running slowly, and the efficiency is too slow. Ye Chen frowned. When will this reach the second realm? Ding. The number of drawers has been refreshed. The frown that was still frowning was instantly relieved. Extract. The system panel is revealed again, and a huge star-color dial appears. Heavens. Dimensions. Both options are half and half each. It's nothing new. Ye Chen complained and swiped with a small hand. The turntable begins to spin, and the turntable spins faster and faster. Ye Chen shouted softly, stop. I saw that the turntable began to gradually slow down until it stopped. Gots. Ye Chen murmured, if the dimension is those anime movies, what about the heavens? What is it? Is it a fantasy world? A golden Gashipan machine appeared. Ye Chen suddenly pressed the button in front of him. After a while of stirring in the Gashipan machine, a purple egg fell out. Ye Chen tapped the balls lightly. Ding. Congratulations to host for obtaining the breath of fortune. Ye Chen. The system. Tell me honestly, is this reward all up to you? Ding. No, I complained about the breathing method yesterday, and today I complained about the slow promotion, so you gave me a breathing method? You said no. Ding. Not really. Ye Chen's face is full of disgust. It's some dear ghost system. Taking out the book of breathing, Ye Chen took it in his hand. A cool feeling came. The moment he opened the book, everything about the breath of creation was imprinted in Ye Chen's mind. The sudden amount of knowledge poured into his mind. Ye Chen let out a soft cry. Shit, does it hurt so much? But the tingling didn't last long. Ye Chen began to follow the way the breath of creation works. Between a breath and a breath, the intake of spiritual energy is more than 100 times that of the basic breathing method. Good luck breathing method. The word good luck seems a bit arrogant. But in fact, the drawbacks of this breathing method are somewhat obvious. That is, the speed of absorbing spiritual energy is too fast. The muscles and veins in the body are somewhat fragile. If it is an ordinary person, it is afraid that it will cause damage to the body. However, this is not a problem for Ye Chen. Underwood style self-healing without printing. The damage to the body is being repaired all the time. Originally, one spirit stone was enough for Ye Chen to absorb for 2 hours, and now it can absorb 50 spirit stones in an hour. Feeling the changes in his body, Ye Chen was instantly overjoyed. Don't talk about the awakening of the second realm. It's not a problem for me to give you one hand to break one realm in one day. I'm going to quietly become good and scare you all to death. What Ye Chen didn't know was that his name was now known to everyone. An auxiliary department declined admission to Kyoto University. This kind of handwriting is of course Yan Feng's a flurry of action, plus fanning the flames. Almost all the students in the same class now know such a name. I, Ye Chen, despise you Kyoto University. This can make most of the students who admire and want to enter Kyoto University angry. And Land Batian also regretted it at the moment. He had asked Zhang Daosheng for the training manual of the ice system point after all. He is a beast awakener, and his wife is of the water system point can't teach Lan Lengshan. Zhang Daosheng's condition for taking out his training manual is to help Ye Chen enter the top 100 in the college entrance examination. Zhang Daosheng, as a strong ice element, naturally knows how domineering the ice element is in his eyes. If it is the blue and cold double belt Ye Chen, getting into the top 100 should be easy, and a wood type assistant is still somewhat beneficial to Lan Lengshan point. So Lan Batian agreed. Who knew this would happen? I accidentally got on the pirate ship of Zhang Daosheng. I regret it. Dad, what are you talking about? The crisp voice came, and Lan Batian could only swept away the previous helplessness looking back at Lan Lengshan. He was surprised to find out it's nothing. Baby girl, have you stepped into a state of awakening? Yeah, I broke through last night. On the first day of awakening talent, I stepped into the realm of awakening. As expected of my daughter Lan Batian, the mirror is finally broken. Ye Chen put down the spiritual stone in his hand. Look at the alarm clock on the bedside table. 2 hours. Awaken the second realm. The spiritual power in the body has more than doubled. This time, I shouldn't be evacuated by placing only a wooden ingot wall. Feel the surge of spiritual power in the body, and the strength of the body is strengthened again. I don't know how much combat power I have now. There seems to be a combat strength tester in the school, so I have to go there sometime. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8 Lan Batian, the exotic beast talent Fingayahu. The benefits of the good fortune breathing method are too obvious, but this kind of obviousness is a bit overwhelming for most people. This breathing method itself was created to be used by people with super physique. Although Ye Chen does not have such a physique, Muji healing is enough to endure. After a deep sleep all night, Ye Chen's cultivation progress was also very obvious. When he got up and brushed his teeth, Ye Chen was thinking about what he needed to do next. According to Zhang Daosheng, the auxiliary system needs the skills to escape. But he is not an auxiliary system, and the more important thing is the fighting skills to escape. Oneself need actual combat. Within 1 kilometer outside Zhanghe City, the level of alien beasts that exist is not high. But there are also alien beasts of the 4th and 5th levels. With the current cultivation level of the 2nd realm, it is not even the 3rd realm. It seems that this plan can only be shelved for a while. Is it possible that you have to practice at home for a whole day? Ye Chen helplessly looked at himself in the mirror. Suddenly I feel that cultivating is so boring. Just then, Ye Chen's cell phone rang. The caller ID was Leo Zhang. Ye Chen's eyes lit up. Hey, old Zhang, do you have something good for me? The moment Zhang Daosheng was about to speak, Ye Chen's words came out of the microphone. There was a short circuit of the brain on the spot, and the breathing became a little faster. Hey, where is the person? Old Zhang. Zhang Daosheng calmed down for a while, and pretended to be calm. You come to the school later. I have something to explain to you, and I will introduce you to someone by the way. Oh, I thought there was something good for me. That's all? Ye Chen said nonchalantly. In 10 minutes, I want to see you at school. Zhang Daosheng said with a gloomy face. Then he hung up the phone in one go. Ye Chen watched Zhang Daosheng hang up and muttered silently, "What's wrong? Leo Zhang won't have Alzheimer's earlier, right?" Ye Chen, who was about to go out, opened the door and suddenly glanced at the bread in his hand. He narrowed his eyes and threw the bread in his hand onto the sofa. But after a while, the bun shop downstairs. "Boss, come with 2 bags." "Okay, what bag do you want?" "The most expensive bag in your store." 200 demon eye pork buns, thank you." Ye Chen, sorry, I underestimated the price of buns. Ye Chen's eyes twitched slightly, but he calmed down immediately. Just kidding. After all, we are also multi-millionaires now, right? Earlier, Liema gave Ye Chen a black card, saying that there were 10 million in it. Then Ye Chen took out the card. "Boss, swipe the card." The Whole breakfast shop was silent. Have a breakfast? Swipe. Is there something wrong with your brain, or is there something wrong with our brain? Are you going to take down the breakfast bar? I'm sorry, there is no credit card machine. The owner of the breakfast shop was speechless, but he said something calmly out of politeness. Ye Chen was stunned and took out a $10 note from his pocket. Then, bring me 2 ordinary buns. The boss was speechless. Ye Chen muttered a few words with 2 meat buns. Such a big breakfast restaurant. You can't even swipe a card. Bad reviews. Although the shop owner is in business, the world, everyone is gifted, no matter how bad the talent is. At the age of 30 or 40, you can have the strength to awaken the 3rd and 4th realms, of course. I heard Ye Chen's words clearly point, but Ye Chen had already run away. Otherwise he would have heard the boss talking to himself. Looks like I'll have to get a credit card machine. Principal Zhang, when will that little bunny arrive? Look at my daughter waiting. Lan Batian said angrily. Zhang Daosheng glanced at him. You ask me? Who should I ask? Lan. Leng Xiang on the side did not speak, but the expression on her face betrayed her. It's also true that girls don't like to wait for others. Yo, Principal Zhang, are you trying to practice with me? Lan Batian heard Zhang Daosheng's words, and his talent lit up on the spot. A blue phantom appeared behind him. Alien talent. Wind Tiger. Zhang Daosheng hasn't spoken yet, and he is extremely depressed at this moment. Just then, the office door was opened. Ye Chen looked up and saw a fierce tiger circling the house. The strong man was wearing a suit, and he was not a good person at first glance. Lan Batian looked at Ye Chen fiercely. His eyes narrowed slightly. Ye Chen looked at the 3 people in the room, raised his hand awkwardly and said hello. Is this so lively? No one responded. Ye Chen's mouth twitched slightly. Could it be that my way of greeting is not right? Then, what? I came by a bit of a coincidence. You guys continue. Speaking of leaving the office, come back. The 3 people in the room said in unison. Ye Chen stiffened. My brain is running wild. What should I do now? That strong man is not easy to mess with. Little bastard. Let us wait for half an hour. Do you still want to leave? Lan Batian said maliciously. Lan Lengxiang's face was also a little ugly, and it was the most troublesome to wait for others. Cough. Cough. On my way here, I saw an old grandmother lost her way, and then I sent the old grandma home, which was delayed for a while. Ye Chen turned his eyes and opened his mouth directly. Oh, so that's the case. Lan Batian nodded in understanding, then slapped Zhang Daosheng's desk. Who would believe it? The table fell apart in that instant. Zhang Daosheng silently took out his mobile phone and started looking for a new table. Cough. This handsome guy. What I said is true. If you don't believe me, I will take you to that old grandmother. Ye Chen looked serious. Lan Batian's eyes narrowed slightly. Boy, what did you just call me? Lan Lengxiang closed his eyes silently, unable to bear to look directly. Handsome guy. Good call. The young man has vision. Come here, come here, come and sit. Lan Batian smiled and put away the wind-winged tiger talent behind him and waved to Ye Chen. Ye Chen was stunned. What the hell? At this moment, Zhang Daosheng patted Lan Batian on the shoulder silently and showed Lan Batian the new table on his phone. Cash or credit card? I don't know what you're talking about. Lan Batian glanced at his phone and started playing helplessly. Lan Lengxiang wanted to cry. Dad, let's be a person. Don't be so rude. Okay. Your talent is just a tiger, not a human tiger. Ye Chen's mind was blank, and he asked, Headmaster, you called me here. Is there something wrong? Zhang Daosheng looked at Ye Chen with approval in his eyes. Not bad. This kid knows that in front of outsiders. Call me the principal. It's like this. The college entrance examination is a group of 3. I called you here this time to let you team up with Leng Xuang. Chapter 9. Maybe this is talent. Ye Chen is a little stunned now, and his mind is completely blank. Team up with Blue Cold Double. Old Zhang, are you kidding? Ye Chen said in disbelief. Zhang Daosheng glanced at Ye Chen with a deep meaning. Just kidding? Do you think I was joking with you by forcing Lan Hu to come over early in the morning and letting Leng Xuan go? Blue Cold Double. Ye Chen scratched his head when he heard the words. It seems that's the reason. Young man, I heard that you are of the wood type. Lan Batian slapped Ye Chen on the shoulder. Although the blue Decepticon has a little bit of strength, it can be regarded as a restrained point, but with his strength, no matter how restrained it is, Ye Chen can't bear it point in an instant. The shoulders were like the top of Mount A. Ye Chen was directly suppressed by this powerful force, and knelt on the ground in a half-kneeling manner. Although the wind-winged tiger is a wind-type beast, it can be imagined how powerful the body of a tiger-like beast is. Zhang Daosheng was in a hurry when he saw this. Blue tiger, do you fucking want to kill Ye Chen? Ale. I made a mistake, and didn't hold back my strength all of a sudden. Lan Batian scratched his cheek embarrassedly. If I wasn't from the wood type, I would have been slapped to death by you right now. Ye Chen looked up at Lan Batian weakly. I thought to myself, it makes sense for Liao Zhang to call you a blue tiger. I almost died before leaving the apprenticeship. If it wasn't for the pervert level skill of Muja's healing, I'm afraid you would have to kneel on the ground and beg me not to die. Hey. Little brother is fine. You can still speak after being slapped by me. Lan Batian's eyes lit up when he heard the words. It seems that this Ye Chen is just a weakness of talent, but his physical ability is quite good. His slap just now was accurate enough to allow Ye Chen to lie down for 10 days and 8 days, but I didn't expect that this guy was gasping for 1 second and could speak the next second. In this way, to form a team with his daughter is also qualified. You broke the mirror? Zhang Daosheng looked at Ye Chen, took a deep breath, and asked in shock. Fuck. Ye Chen stood up slowly, stretched out his left hand, and rubbed his shoulder. If it weren't for the broken mirror, I'm afraid I'd have to lie down for 2 or 3 days with this slap today. Zhang Daosheng narrowed his eyes when he heard the words. I was greatly shocked. It seemed that Ye Chen didn't have to worry about his efforts. As long as he practiced hard, he naturally didn't need to worry about the rest. Lan Batian and Lan Lengshan were relatively calm. After all, in their thinking, Ye Chen was the third day to break the mirror. What they didn't know was that Ye Chen broke the second realm. Even the 3 realms are at the door. That's right. Breaking the mirror in 3 days is considered a genius. Lan Batian nodded, completely approving. One of Lan Lengshan's teammates at this time, Lan Lengshan, who had not spoken, spoke up. When you join my team, you have to obey my orders, right? A crisp and moving voice entered Ye Chen's ears. Ye Chen nodded. I've already chosen the third teammate, but she's not from our school. I'll introduce her to you then. Lan Lengshan glanced at Ye Chen coldly and said nothing without saying anything. Guzi left for her. Ye Chen, who has this time to understand the auxiliary department, might as well practice more. Lan Batian watched Lan Lengshan leave and glanced back at Ye Chen. He smiled and said, little brother, work hard. Both of them ignored Zhang Daosheng. Zhang Daosheng is very depressed. After all, in front of you, I'm a strong man in the sea level. At this moment, Ye Chen said, I can't hold back anymore. Old Zhang Daosheng was full of question marks. Go to the toilet if you can't hold back. Ye Chen was helpless and had no choice but to dissipate the restriction of restraining his spiritual energy from entering his body. He was slapped by Lan Batian earlier, and the injury on his shoulder was extremely serious. The natural operation of Wuyin healing has accelerated with the speed of the breathing method of creation. Ye Chen, who woke up this morning, felt that the threshold of the 3 realms was approaching. In an instant, the huge vibration sounded again in Ye Chen's body. The blood in the body gushed out, and the body was strengthened again. Ye Chen hurriedly sat cross-legged on the ground, running his spiritual power along the breath of good fortune. At the same time, Lan Lengshan and Lan Batian were looking at Ye Chen incredulously. This is the breath of the 3 realms? Lan Batian couldn't believe it. Even the always indifferent Lan Lengshan opened his mouth wide. Zhang Daosheng's eyes were wet for a while. Ye Chen, genius, Ivildoa. 3 days to break 3 realms? No, 2 days and 1 night to break through the 3 realms. Sky Academy is saved. Zhang Daosheng hurriedly turned around and silently wiped away the tears that were about to flow from the corners of his eyes. Ye Chen's realm consolidation phase also ended. Stand up and look at your hand. She shook it and opened her arms again. Zhang Daosheng walked in front of Ye Chen and was very excited. It seems I bet on the right thing. Zhang Daosheng showed a sincere smile as he spoke. Ye Chen heard the words and also smiled and said, Lao Zhang and Lao Li trust me so much, how can I not work harder? There was a sound of footsteps behind Ye Chen. Good boy. Awakening the three realms, how did you do it, Lan? Batian's tone was a little rushed. In his opinion, if Ye Chen could share the method point, then Lan Lengshan can also quickly advance, so naturally he is a little anxious. Ye Chen was stunned, thinking, you two haven't left yet. I don't know either, I'll just fix it. That's it. Ye Chen touched his chin and said, how is that possible? Lan Batian exclaimed. Point obviously, he didn't believe Ye Chen's words. Lan Lengshan also looked at Ye Chen curiously. This kind of cultivation speed was unheard of. If you don't believe me, I can't help it. Ye Chen waved his hand helplessly and said to Zhang Daosheng, by the way, Lao Zhang, do you still have that spirit stone? Yes, how much do you want? Zhang Daosheng had only one thought in his mind at the moment, that is, give what Ye Chen wants. Ye Chen scratched his head. To be honest, I'm absorbing the spirit stones a little quickly, and there's only half of the spirit stones you gave yesterday. Zhang Daosheng is stupid. I estimate that if I practice all day, I can absorb 500. Ye Chen really couldn't stop talking. Lan Batian's mouth was wide open. Lan Lengshan's mind was blank. Zhang Daosheng tilted his head and looked confused. Boy, are you serious? You must know that it is difficult to absorb 500 spirit stones a day, even moving mountains, and your body can withstand this absorption speed? No, how could you have such a pervert absorption speed? Lan Batian asked several questions in a row. Maybe it's my talent? Chapter 10 The Killer Hidden in the Darkness. Ye Chen's words made the three present speechless for a while. Well, actually, when I was in the first realm, I awakened a skill that can speed up my absorption of spiritual power, and when I was in the second realm, I awakened another ability that can heal myself. Ye Chen thought about it for a while, and said the words he had thought up for a long time. Hey, this. Lan Batian sucked in a breath of cold air. Of course he knew what that meant. Even Zhang Daosheng never expected this to happen. The first talent to speed up the absorption of spiritual energy, the second talent to heal itself. No wonder you can reach the third realm so quickly, but relatively speaking, your combat power will be weaker. After all, the 9 innate skills can become stronger with growth, and you have already occupied 2 of them now. Lan Batian analyzed Ye Chen's situation point, but at this time, Zhang Daosheng silently said, he is the auxiliary department. Kid, why don't go to the Sky College? How about coming to my Lan family? Lan Batian narrowed his eyes and said with a wicked smile, Blue Tiger Force, dig my people in front of me? Zhang Daosheng was furious, and the cold air appeared in his palm. Ahahaha, don't worry, I'm joking. Lan Batian laughed, trying to ease the atmosphere. Ye Chen looked at the appearance of these two people and was a little speechless. Thank you, big brother Lan, for your love. Lao Zhang trusts me. Naturally, I can't let him chill. Lan Leng's pretty eyes on the side stared at Ye Chen. Big brother Blue, according to your name, I have to call you Ye uncle? Ye Chen noticed the change in Lan Lengshan's expression. Could it be that I was shocked by my actions of breaking the 3 realms in 2 days and then became jealous? Hahaha, as expected of the person I like. Blue Tiger Force, you should die. Zhang Daosheng laughed suddenly, then looked at Ye Chen. Tomorrow, I'll ask the college to send 10,000 spirit stones first. You just need to practice hard. The father and daughter of the Lan family were amazed. 10,000 spirit stones, worth 1 billion, that, Principal Zhang. Otherwise, you can also give me 10,000, and I will let Xuanja join the Sky Academy. Lan Batian's words made Lan Lengshan roll his eyes. No way. Although the Lan family is not weak, it is only a family in a small city. After all, 10,000 spirit stones are impossible to get out of hand. Zhang Daosheng glanced at Lan Batian. If Leng Xuan joins the Sky Academy, I can give him the training resources before he falls to the sea level. Lan Batian was stunned. He was only skinny, and naturally he didn't really want Lan Lengshan to join the Sky. How is it? Zhang Daosheng said with a half smile. Lan Batian was silent for a few seconds. Let's think about it again. Lan Lengshan was about to speak, but Lan Batian glanced at her and motioned her not to talk nonsense. Point. Although Lan Lengxiang was unwilling, he did not speak. Point. After all, Lan Batian knew that Kangkayang Academy had provoked a powerful organization. Seeing Lan Batian's answer, Zhang Daosheng was used to it. Point. Think about this sentence again. He has heard it countless times. After Lan Batian and Lan Lengxiang left, Ye Chen and Zhang Daosheng didn't talk much. Point. After all, everything that should be talked about is almost the same, and there is no need for so much nonsense between men. Point. On the way home, Lan Batian explained to Lan Leng several times, Xuanja, Ye Chen, although his talent is not very good, but before his awakening, he can completely crush everyone with his physical strength, plus his second talent to heal himself. Lan Batian paused. Before awakening the 7th realm, Ye Chen's combat power was definitely considerable. This time, he entered the top 32 in the college entrance examination, so it shouldn't be a problem. Lan Lengxiang didn't refute when he heard the words, and nodded. Point. Her point of view is relatively consistent with Lan Batian. By the way, Dad, why didn't you let me join the Sky Academy? Lan Batian was silent, hesitating for a moment before saying, because the Beast Demon cult is targeting this academy. Beast Demon sect? Lan Lengxiang took a deep breath. Point. Human traitor. Beast magic. Lan Batian nodded and said no more. Point. Lan Lengxiang also cooperated very well and didn't ask any more questions on Ye Chen's side. Zhang Daosheng specially asked a few words when he left. Recently, in the west of the city, there are strange beasts. If you have nothing to do, don't jump around. Zhang Daosheng said casually. Ye Chen's house is in the south of the city, and strange beasts are in the west of the city. Point. However, it is better to ask 2 more sentences. Ye Chen nodded, turned to leave, and waved at Zhang Daosheng. Point. On the way home, it was drizzling. Ye Chen took out his phone and checked the time. It was early 11. Point. After counting the time, there are still 3 hours before you can get the system lottery. Point. All of a sudden, Ye Chen just remembered, what about testing the combat power? Then he shook his head. Forget it. Testing the combat power means exposing the secret that he is not an auxiliary system. Point. But there is no serious problem. The combat power of the awakening 9 realms is not particularly important. Point. A realm has about 100 combat power, which means that the awakening of the 9 realms is also 900, or breaking 1000 combat power. Ye Chen looked up at the sky. The hazy drizzle was getting bigger and bigger. How could it be so dark at 11 o'clock at noon? Ye Chen frowned. It was very wrong. Point. And the originally lively streets were empty. Point. To know this food street, it is impossible to rest at this point. After 11 o'clock, lunchtime is coming. It is impossible to rest. Just then, an explosion sounded not far away. Point. A huge airflow hit Ye Chen's face. Point. From what Ye Chen knew, he was afraid that he had encountered a strange beast, that Lao Zhang said. Point. But, what kind of battle is this? Exclamation mark. Ye Chen was sneaking around the corner of the street in the rain. Point. 2 men and women in moat team costumes are alerting the surrounding movement back to back. Although his vision was blurry, Ye Chen could see that their current state was very bad. Point. Especially the man. The wound on his foot was bleeding. Zia King, you go first. Yang Sanjin endured the severe pain in his feet and said to the people behind him. Point. The girl named Zia King looked solemn. Although you are the captain, I should obey your orders, but not now. Yang Sanjin smiled bitterly, knowing that this would be the answer. If you don't leave, we'll all die here today. Captain, I'm not afraid of death, Zia King said stubbornly. Alas. Yang Sanjin sighed. Point. At this moment, a figure quickly passed by, a killer hiding in the rain. Shadow cat, small in stature, fast, and grey-black hair makes it better to complete assassinations in the rain or even in the dark. Yang Sanjin was shocked. It was too late. Gritting his teeth, he pushed Zia King away. Iron wall. Zia King panicked. Captain. Chapter 11. Joining hands to kill the enemy. Chen King looked back. Yang Sanjin was full of golden light at this moment. Point. Said to be an iron wall. In fact, it transformed into something similar to a shield in front of him. Point. However, Yang Sanjin seemed to know that his shield could not withstand Shadow Cat's attack. Let's go. Yang Sanjin watched the Shadow Cat attacking him intently. Point. He roared at Chen King again. I'm not leaving. Tears flashed in Chen Qing's eyes. Shadow Cat's claws suddenly stabbed Yang Sanjin. The iron wall shattered in an instant. Chen Qing was shocked. Condensation shield. It has the same effect as the iron wall of the previous Yang Sanjin, but the effect is different. The 5 element generate and restrain each other, but there are differences in quality. Shadow Cat's attack is obviously physical damage, and the iron wall can't withstand the attack. How can a condensate shield be blocked by a magic shield? When the Shadow Cat's claws touched the condensate shield turned into a pool of water and fell to the ground. In Ying Mao's eyes, killing intent is rampant, and Yang Sanjin is in danger. King, let's go. Yang Sanjin's foot was seriously injured, and he could no longer dodge this fatal blow. Even at this time, his first reaction was to let Chen Qing leave. This is the last thing he can do as the captain of the defense team. Team leader, King, knelt on the ground helplessly. She hates herself for being too weak, hates herself for being too incompetent. Just at this critical moment, in front of Yang Sanjin, 2 rows of wood suddenly appeared on the ground. Then the 2 rows of wood were connected to one piece, and the Shadow Cat's claws followed. In stark contrast to the gap between the previous 2 defensive shields, the Shadow Cat's claws sank directly into the wood style and were embedded in it, but the ingot wall did not collapse. Yang Sanjin looked at the huge defensive shield that suddenly appeared in front of him. His eyes were surprised. Get out of the way. A voice came from not far away and entered Yang Sanjin's ears. Yang Sanjin woke up instantly, grabbed the wooden ingot wall with one hand, and turned over with the help of the wooden ingot wall. Cut off with a knife. Chen Qing watched this scene in surprise. Is this beast finally dying? But Yang Sanjin was shocked. I saw that the Shadow Cat used the other paw to hold his full strength knife. One man and one cat confrontation. Yang Sanjin knew in his heart that if he unloaded his energy and fled now, he could retreat completely, but next time he wanted to find an opportunity to kill this 7th level alien beast. He didn't know when to wait. Then he gritted his teeth, and the strength in his hands strengthened again. Although the Shadow Cat is a beast, in this case, one paw is stuck in the strange wall, and the other paw is carrying the attack, and it cannot escape. King, do it. Yang Sanjin roared with all his strength. Looking at the situation in front of him, Chen Qing immediately picked up the long knife on the ground and killed it towards the Shadow Cat. Her talent is water, and her attacks are ranged. In the current situation of Yang Sanjin, it is obvious that he cannot use his talent to attack. Chen Qing came to Yang Mao. His eyes were full of anger. He raised his knife 3 feet over his head and slashed with all his strength. Die, beast. Meow. The Shadow Cat took Chen Qing's attack firmly, and Chen Qing, who had awakened to the 5 realms, reluctantly cut through the Shadow Cat's defense with a weapon. A 6th level, a 5th level. Fighting a 7th level alien beast is really not easy. Shadow Cat felt the injury on his back and was very angry. The whole body's strength was concentrated on the cat's claw, and the wooden ingot wall was instantly destroyed by it. Yang Sanjin turned pale in shock and quickly stepped back. Chen Qing also took 2 steps back and looked carefully at the Shadow Cat in front of him. At this moment, Ye Chen's voice sounded, brother, I can still use a talent skill once, and it is expected to trap him for a second or 2. When Yang Sanjin heard the unfamiliar voice, it was immediately clear that this was the guy who saved his life just now. Immediately, his eyes narrowed slightly. Understood. Chen Qing also mustered up his fighting spirit. Shadow Cat was obviously annoyed by the attack just now and stared at Chen Qing menacingly. Although Chen Qing was full of fighting spirit, there was some fear in his pupils. After all, now he is the target of this beast, but now I can only bite the bullet. Thinking of this, Chen Qing deliberately took 2 steps back and pretended to fall, revealing a flaw. Shadow Cat was overjoyed. Killing intent poured out instantly, killing Chen Qing. The moment Chen Qing fell, he rolled and knelt on one knee, with a long knife across his chest. Be careful. Yang Sanjin strode forward, trying to condense the metalness on the long knife. Unexpectedly, the spiritual energy in the body has dried up and cannot be strengthened. Silent killing technique. In the dark alley, a figure rushed out. He folded his hands together and muttered a word. This is Ye Chen. Behind Ye Chen, who rushed towards Shadow Cat, Two branches stretched towards Shadow Cat. Seeing that the Shadow Cat was about to attack Chen King, the branches just happened to bind the Shadow Cat's body tightly. Die. Yang Sanjin and Chen King were overjoyed when they saw this and said in unison. Two long knives stabbed into the Shadow Cat's body one after the other. Meow. The huge pain swept over and the Shadow Cat growled. But despite this, Shadow Cat's claws actually seized this opportunity and slapped Chen King's forehead with a slap. Chen King's face turned pale with fright and Ye Chen paled in shock. The person that the young master finally rescued. You are Meow. In Ye Chen's hand, a wooden thorn fell from the cuff. I saw him raising his right hand high, doing a throwing motion. Stop the left foot, raise the right foot high. That branch was thrown by Ye Chen violently. Blood stained the sky. A scream resounded through the sky, and the Shadow Cat finally died. Yang Sanjin let go of the long knife in his hand and fell down, panting heavily, closing his eyes, and enjoying the rain hitting his body. Chen King also escaped from death. His legs softened, and he slumped on the ground with a smile. Ye Chen also breathed a sigh of relief. Kill the 7th level alien cat and get 70 points. The point drawer has been opened. Please check it by yourself. Ye Chen was stunned for a moment, then checked the system interface. Next to the existing Zushin lottery, there is an extra point lottery. There are 100 point and 1000 point drawer options. Ye Chen's mouth twitched slightly. Good guy. Can't even get 100. Ye Chen shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Walking in front of Yang Sanjin, he squatted down and looked at Yang Sanjin and poked him with his fingers. Ah, you alright? The injury looks serious. Yang Sanjin breathlessly opened his eyes and looked at Ye Chen. If you don't call an ambulance for me, I'll be in trouble. Ye Chen smiled, silently took out his phone and pressed it. Unfortunately, the phone got wet, and today you're afraid you'll be dead. Yang Sanjin was speechless and looked at Ye Chen resentfully. At this moment, Chen King also reacted, took out the exclusive mobile phone issued by the defense team and quickly called an ambulance. It seems that my life should not end. Yang Sanjin closed his eyes and fell asleep. Chapter 12. Are you sure? YOUN-039, not a system. When Yang Sanjin woke up, he was already lying in the hospital. Chen King took care of him meticulously, and other members of the defense team came to visit. What about little brother? Yang Sanjin looked at the environment around him and said to Chen King. Chen King smiled and scolded. There is a big beauty next to you watching over you, so please be touched and find your little brother as soon as you wake up. Yang Sanjin smiled awkwardly. Isn't it time to thank him for saving his life? Looking at his hanging right foot, the injury is not light. The original injury was on the thigh, and the wound was accidentally pulled during the battle. The aorta was directly ruptured. If it hadn't been sent to the hospital early. Dead. Chen King took out an apple from the flower basket on the side and skillfully peeled it with a fruit knife. After the ambulance came, he left without leaving his name. Yang Sanjin was a little surprised when he heard the words, this little brother seems to be a good and brave young man. Suddenly, Yang Sanjin thought of something and said to Chen King, do you still remember the trick he used? Remember? Chen King replied, but it seemed a little strange. Because afterwards, when the Shadow Cat was dissected. Only then did I discover that the thing that bound the Shadow Cat was actually wood. Even the ones that blocked the attack and killed one blow earlier were all wood, and the hardness of wood is amazing, even comparable to metal. Yang Sanjin frowned when he saw Chen King wincing. I don't know what kind of talent he is, and the tricks he uses are so strange. Maybe it's an innate skill, Chen King said. However, Yang Sanjin vetoed. Innate skills cannot be understood at every stage, and people are different. I awakened to the 6 realms, and now I only have 2 innate skills, 1 iron wall and 1 enchantment, and what he used that day was defense, restraint, and finally a spear, which means he has 3 talent skills. Listening to Yang Sanjin's words, Chen King was a little puzzled. What's the matter? Yang Sanjin took a deep breath. If he is the 7th realm awakening, then killing a Shadow Cat should be very simple. If he is awakening 6 realms, then it will be very easy to join forces with me to suppress Shadow Cat. Chen King was shocked when he heard the words. Could it be, in other words, he may only have the 5 realms of awakening? He has 3 innate skills. But, what if he is in the four realms? Yang Sanjin pretended to be calm. Pervert, right? Chen King was shocked. She awakened the 5 realms, only 2 innate skills. Yang Sanjin looked at Chen King's expression, and didn't say his next guess, afraid to scare Chen King. What if that young man was hiding other talent skills? At present, there are only 6 human race talents with the most talents. The rest are all self-created trick apps. Innate skills are skills that can be followed for a lifetime. With the level of realm, innate skills also become stronger. One more thing. Captain, that boy seems to be a wood class. Yang Sanjin? On the other hand, Ye Chen had already started his own cultivation journey. After all, time is life. Today's battle seems to be very easy. In fact, after the 2 ninjutsus are used up, 1/2 of the spiritual power in the body remains, but the other 2 have already reached their limit. If they didn't kill them, then Ye Chen will have to face the 7th level alien beast alone. Use him to awaken the 3 realms and fight alien beasts across the 4th level. This is a proper courting death. Wood style is strong, but has no spiritual power and is useless. It's just Reiki. Don't pick faults. It's almost just like after the master architect was possessed by Arfei, the small true several thousand hands were used. This was something Yamato could not have dreamed of. But now Ye Chen's situation is very similar to Yamato's. He has a strong talent, but no spiritual power to support. I want to draw a lottery. Ye Chen exclaimed softly. The system appeared, and the dial appeared again. Wait, can you just give me 2 lottery pools, and I'll just draw? You don't think it's too troublesome to operate? I'm too troublesome. Boring. Man. A ruthless rant from the system. But it actually said so, and it really cooperated into 2 lottery pools, 1 heaven, 1 dimension. In fact, during this time, Ye Chen has been thinking, in the current situation, whether the heavens benefited him greatly, or the dimensional gain was great. In terms of combat power, the heavens are naturally stronger, but in terms of practicality, some strange props in the dimension are more practical. System. Let's discuss something. Can you give me a sage body? Just the kind of Senju. I don't have high requirements. System. What? You promised? Thank you, system. Why? Don't you have a face? The system roared. The previous Geo Lengfen directly broke the power. If you don't give it, you won't give it. Why are you so angry? Ye Chen murmured and pressed the dimensional lottery button. Take it. Elementary wet bone forest sage body. A blue ball jumped out in front of Ye Chen, who just pressed the button. Ye Chen was overjoyed. Love you, my good system. Ye Chen is also ecstatic in his heart. Sure enough, this system, he is not a lottery system. Probably, the system will give you whatever it wants to give you, and the lottery is just to give you a happy process. Are you sure you don't have a system in your mind? Can you spare me some face? A faint voice came from the system. Ye Chen was embarrassed. I'm sorry, I forgot that you can read minds. Brother Tongzi, why don't you just give me the reward next time? The lottery is too much trouble. Just the Sharingan next time. Abitos, I like this pair. Roll. Okay. Brother, let's go, Ye Chen said with a smile, and then lightly tapped the blue ball with his little hand. A huge energy poured directly into Ye Chen's body. A blue bead condensed and appeared directly into Ye Chen's forehead. Receive the huge energy from before into the beads. Xianju chakra, also known as natural energy, Ye Chen said, experiencing this energy point. But then the question comes, the aura is also extracted from nature. What is the difference? None of your business. Ask so many questions. If you can use it, return it to me. If you can't. The system was furious. Don't I use. Ye Chen didn't dare to talk too much. The system is sulking. This reality is too irritating. Why don't you erase it and find another one? Exclamation mark. Ye Chen imitated Senju Hashirama and put his hands together. Several lines appeared on his face. A huge force surged up, and the perception of the surrounding environment became stronger. The strength is enhanced, the aura is enhanced, the perception is enhanced, and the ninjutsu of Xianjutsu will also be enhanced. This is simply an all-round gain, and this is only elementary. What about the premium sage body? Exclamation mark. Ye Chen was extremely excited. Chapter 13, shattering the 3 views of Yang Sanjin. The next morning, Ye Chen sat on the bed and suddenly opened his eyes. 4 realms. Ye Chen's eyes were full of smiles. Those so-called geniuses. On the 4th day of awakening, it is difficult to become the second realm, right? And myself, now I am in the 4 realms. If you meet the 7th level shadow cat from yesterday, you should have the power to fight. The strength of the 4 realms, with the wood style strengthening itself, and the strengthening of the aura, it is not a problem to fight against the 5 realms. Then add the sage body and the upgraded magic chakra. It's not that the 7 realms can't be tried. Thinking of this, Ye Chen's eyes were filled with fighting intent. Out of town. Brush monsters to go. On the other hand, Yang Sanjin was discharged from the hospital early in the morning. Point with the strength of his 6 realms. His recovery ability is also good point. Although in the moat, they all said to let Yang Sanjin have a good rest point. But Yang Sanjin is not the kind of person who can sit still. Anyway, as long as he doesn't go out to perform tasks, his normal work at other times can be completed. Point Yang Sanjin, don't make me so noble. I just want to earn wages. Director, is this kid stupid? No paid vacation? Have to go to work. Seeing Yang Sanjin's appearance, Chen King was extremely surprised. Captain, oh, it's Zyra King. Good morning. Yang Sanjin glanced back and saw that it was Chen King, didn't care, and continued to do what he was doing. Point the Moat Bureau also has the authority to connect to the Terran database. This time Yang Sanjin is going to find the young man who saved his life yesterday. What's the matter, Captain? Why don't you have a good rest? Why do you come to work? Chen King said with a full face of reproach. Oh, it's not like you don't know. I can't be idle, and I want to find the little brother from yesterday and pull him into our team. Yang Sanjin said with a smile. Point Chen King was stunned for a moment. Let him join our team? Yeah. Since the death of Leo Zhao, Yang Sanjin was a little silent when he said this, and then changed the subject. By the way, do you have any news about that little brother? Chen King looked at Yang Sanjin with a strange expression, twitching. Yes, but after reading the information, I'm afraid you will doubt life. With that said, Chen King rummaged through the table next to him, took out a document, and handed it to Yang Sanjin. Doubt about life. Do I seem like someone who is so easily frustrated? Yang Sanjin smiled and read the document. Ye Chen, both parents died. Academic performance is average. Age. Yang Sanjin's eyes widened. 10, 18. Yang Sanjin suddenly turned back to look at Chen King. Are you kidding me? Chen King looked at Yang Sanjin's appearance, and it was a little funny. He was like this when he saw the information yesterday. Point others in the bureau didn't understand, but Chen King had seen Ye Chen's strength, so that's true. Zyra King replied mischievously. Point Yang Sanjin swallowed his saliva, suddenly thought of something, and suddenly realized if he is stimulated to awaken his talent in advance, 18 is not impossible. PFFT. Zyra King couldn't help laughing. Point Yang Sanjin didn't understand what Zyra King was laughing at and continued to read the document. Point. In order to calm down, I slowly picked up the wolfberry tea I just brewed for myself and took a sip. Awakening. Time is April 14th, 2322. Awakening the natural wood type. After a year of awakening, he has this strength. He is a genius. Yang Sanjin murmured and took another sip. Point in an instant, Yang Sanjin's eyes changed and a mouthful of water spurted out. Puff. Talent. SSS. Wait. The year 2322. Yang Sanjin glanced at the calendar beside him and took out his phone to confirm it again. Fuck. My 10-year living dog has gone. Yang Sanjin sits in a chair and doubts life. Boring. Chen King waved his hand. I'll just say it, don't doubt life. Looking at Ye Chen's side. Now he is about to go out to buy a new mobile phone. And by the way, let Zhang Daosheng transfer some money to his bank card. Point to pay or something. Just scan the quarter code. It is more troublesome to swipe the card. Point buy a mobile phone, make a call, and get the money in one go. Point the moment Zhang Daosheng saw Ye Chen's phone call, he thought he had run out of spirit stones, but then he thought, it's impossible to have 10,000 spirit stones in one night, right? Unexpectedly, this little bastard actually wanted money. Isn't that hard to say? Directly transfer 10 million to Ye Chen. Point yesterday's breakfast shop again. Boss, 2 devil-eyed pig buns. Okay. Huh. It's you again. Yeah. Hurry up and give me the buns. Your 2 magic eye pork buns. Swipe card or cash? Ye Chen looked at the breakfast shop owner and hesitated. The boss was stunned and narrowed his eyes. You don't have money, do you? No. Ye Chen shook his head. Then, swipe the card? Ye Chen muttered to himself, took out his mobile phone, scanned the quarter code, and transferred 400 yuan. What's wrong? I can pay by scanning a quarter code. What can I do with a card? I saw the owner of the breakfast shop holding a credit card machine and looking at Ye Chen's leaving figure with a dull face. Damn it, this little punk. It's pretty cool. Ye Chen didn't know that his only 2 days of buying steamed buns made the breakfast shop owner depressed for several days. In a small villa on the outskirts of Zhanghai City, Master Black Robe. Yesterday, Shadow Cat died. A man in a blue robe bowed and explained the situation to those in the house. Who killed it? A voice came from the house, low and terrifying. The third team of the moat. The man outside the house replied. The people in the room did not speak. After a few seconds the door opens. A man in a black robe came out. The style of the clothes, except for the different colors, was exactly the same. At a glance, several female corpses were lying on the bed in the room. Interesting. Zhanghai City's moat. Zhao Zixuan muttered to himself. As the black robe of the beast god religion, his status is one level higher than the ordinary blue robe, according to the news circulating within the moat bureau. Eyeing Mao's death is related to a high school student, Zhu Shen said expressionlessly. This time, Zhao Zixuan was interested. Oh, high school students, yes, and I heard something more interesting. Speaking of this, Zhu Shen couldn't help but laugh. What Zhao Zixuan hated the most was cheating, and he suddenly said impatiently, what's the interesting thing? Zhu Shen also knew that he had offended Zhao Zixuan's least favorite thing. Immediately replied, that high school student is a freshman at Kangkayang Academy. It is said that Zhang Daosheng wants to focus on cultivating him. Zhao Zixuan's eyes lit up. Really? Really? Okay. Kill him. Chapter 14. It turned out that Zhao Zixuan was still thinking of avenging his pet, so he went to the moat to settle accounts. I didn't expect this to be a surprise. Sky Academy is on the must-kill list of the beast god cult. But in the Sky College, there is a terrifying existence guarding it, and it cannot be easily done. And the students are different. Poor Ye Chen didn't know that there were two parties targeting him now. On the one hand, the City Defense Bureau plans to recruit him into the team, and on the other hand, the Beast God cult wants to kill him. But Ye Chen doesn't care about this. Now he only has the word points in his mind. Ye Chen, who awakened to the Four Elms, hurried very fast. The home is also 10 kilometers away from the suburbs, but he only spent less than 10 minutes. It seems to be 1 kilometer per minute, which seems to be very awesome. But in fact, this is nothing. After all, this is an extraordinary world. Some experts say that it takes 4 to 5 minutes for the average person to run a kilometer. I just smiled and didn't say anything. Ordinary people can't even run 400 meters. Only those who like to run, or have the habit of running, etc., can achieve it. Don't ask. Asking is just the author's waste. 400 meters are tired, and Ye Chen's current physical fitness is naturally far beyond them, not to mention the urban running speed limit. What should I do if I hit someone? I vaguely remember that year, there was a girl who had awakened the talent of the wind element with the ball and hit someone. The other party is also a good master, but he didn't expect, after being hit by the ball, his eyes turned black, his nose bleeds, and he almost couldn't be rescued. So in fact, the urban running speed limit, there is really such a rule. Zhanghai City is different from some other cities, like an ancient city. The city gate is wide open, which is also one of the ways to enter the city. Ye Chen glanced at the city gate and felt a little emotional. There is such a magnificent city gate. For Ye Chen, this was the first time he saw the gate of Zhanghai City. In the original world, Zhanghai City did not have a similar gate, so this also made Ye Chen very curious. Ye Chen, who was finished with emotion, strode forward, but was stopped by a soldier. Hello, you need to register when you leave the city. The soldier looked directly at Ye Chen and said indifferently. Ye Chen nodded when he heard the words, picked up the pen in front of the other party, and signed it. Name, age, talent, realm, phone number, and human identity authentication. Ye Chen is very puzzled, but he still needs talent and realm. But he didn't think much of it. In fact, what he didn't know was that the infighting of the human race was serious, but in the external situation, you must not kill the same clan. If you find, shoot to kill. Ye Chen left immediately. After signing it. The soldier glanced at the registration form and narrowed his eyes slightly. Pick up the walkie-talkie on your waist and report to your superior. Report to the leader. An SSS level talent freshman has left the city. Do you arrange for personal protection? The person on the other side is obviously a little confused. Freshman? Out of town? Bazin asked in a low voice. Didn't I say that you can't leave a city without awakening? You let a freshman out of the city gate. Are you out of your mind? When Bazin asked, he couldn't control his anger. The poor soldier was very aggrieved. Report to the leader. He has already traveled to 4 borders. Bay. Zan suddenly stood up when he heard the words, and the chair behind him fell to the ground. What? The awakening ceremony has only been 3 days. The 4 Elms of Awakening? You are right. What is the other party's name? Where does he live? Which school? What name? The big brother of the soldier guarding the city gate had a blank head, relying on his memory to answer. It's the 4 Elms of Awakening. His name is Ye Chen. He studies in Zhanghe No. 1 Middle School, and his talent is Wood. Bay. Zan was stunned when he heard the words. Wait. Wood element. Yes, it is the wood type. Fuck you. Don't guard the city gate tomorrow. Go to the front line. Bazin scolded. His anger was full. Don't you know that the auxiliary department doesn't let you go out of the city alone? Go and get me back. If something happens to him, you can go home and retire. The big brother's face turned pale, and he quickly responded, yes. After hanging up the phone, Bazin was so angry at the moment that he was almost killed by the soldiers guarding the city gate today. If it wasn't for the above, all accidents in and out of the city should be reported to the Supreme Commander of the Army. Today, I'm afraid that I will miss the genius of Ye Chen. If he dies outside the city, it will be a big loss for the human race. Saying that, Bazin picked up the phone and dialed a familiar number. Hey, why are you free to call me today? Zhang Daosheng glanced at the caller ID and answered the phone with a smile. I don't miss you, teacher. Bazin said coquettishly. Fortunately, there are no other people around. Otherwise Bazin would be suspicious of life. Those who are busy still miss me. Tell me, what's the matter, Zhang? Daosheng was helpless. After all, Bazin was really busy. Or, the teacher understands me. I just want to know if there is a person named Ye Chen in your school. Bay. Zan asked in a correct tone. Zhang Daosheng was silent for a while after hearing the words, and took a deep breath. What are you doing with him? Bay. Zan heard something wrong in his tone. He has left the city. What? Zhang Daosheng suddenly slapped the table and stood up. Boy. Bay, are you crazy? Let a person out of the city? Zhang Daosheng roared. Bazin was a little embarrassed. Although he didn't do this by himself, he really couldn't get rid of the problems he managed. I've sent someone to find him, Bazin said timidly. Although he is now at the peak of the inverted sea realm, and he has long since graduated from the Sky Academy, Zhang Daosheng is his teacher after all. Which door? Zhang Daosheng adjusted his mind and asked in a heavy tone. Bazin also noticed something was wrong. If he was a talented student, Zhang Daosheng was right to be anxious, but he shouldn't be so anxious thinking of this. Bazin tried to ask, could it be? Is it an elementary school brother? Zhang Daosheng didn't want to hide it, but he admitted it decisively. Well, he is well aware of the difficulty of Sky Academy, and recruiting students is too difficult. Even if Ye Chen is an auxiliary department, it must also be brought back to Zhang Daosheng and Kangkyang Academy. Bazin couldn't sit still. I'll send someone down immediately, and a large-scale search within 10 kilometers outside the suburbs. He hung up and ordered to go down. But suddenly stopped and shouted towards the door. Gangson, gather all the staff. Yes, Bay. Zan still doesn't feel right, so he has to go find it himself. On the other side, the Beast God sect is about to come. At this juncture, leaving the city, awakening the 4 Elms, Kangkyang Academy has really received a good seedling. Zhao Zixuan looked at the news on his phone with a wicked smile. Zoo. Shen, this matter is left to you. Yes. Lord Blackrobe, Zhu. Shen's respectful salute was about to retreat. Remember, Ye Chen dies, you live. Ye Chen lives, you die. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15 Life and Death Crisis, Ye Chen Fury, Wooden Dragon Technique. Zhanghai City has the sea on one side and the mountain on the other, and is located in the south. Ye Chen went out alone. Naturally he wasn't stupid enough to go to the beach point in this era of spiritual recovery. The sea is much more dangerous than the land point on the outskirts of Zhanghai City. The mountains are not very high, just some bushes and the like point occasionally. Some low-level alien beasts would appear. So Ye Chen's target was the Lianhai mountain range point. The Lianhai mountains are composed of many mountains in the west of Zhanghai City. Some people will say, Ye Chen's house is in the south of the city, so why not go through the south gate? Have to go to the west gate of the city. Nonsense. It's said that one side is the sea. Guess what is the south side? Lianhai Mountains. As the name suggests, a mountain range that spreads to the sea point and Yamanika. There is a Lion King sitting in town. The strength is comparable to the stars at present. It is simple for the human race to crusade this strange beast, but Faxing realm is already in existence that can destroy the city by raising a hand. The Lion King does not act easily, and the human race does not dare to act rashly. Point. If the alien beast in the starry realm knows that he will die without a doubt, and the fish will die, and the net will be broken, Zhanghai City is afraid that the Lion King will take away 9 out of 10 lives. Ye Chen, who had just stepped into the forest at the foot of the mountain, noticed something was wrong. Point. The breath in the forest is too strange. Point. A giant tree blocked all the sunlight. Point. Although it was broad daylight, it was terrifyingly gloomy. Is this the real forest? Ye Chen didn't dare to be careless. He understands that maybe these trees will be upgraded after being baptized with spiritual energy. Point. It was extremely dark in the forest, and I was afraid that was one of the reasons. Ye Chen wandered aimlessly in the forest for a while. Strange creatures and strange plants. Ye Chen was completely shocked. Sure enough, in the world where the spiritual energy is revived, everything is peculiar. It seems that the forest is not that dangerous. Ye Chen looked up into the distance. Would you like to go deeper? The blue-tailed rabbit and the devil-eyed pig are the most alien beasts Ye Chen has seen so far. They are the most basic first-level alien beasts, with little lethality and more docile. Point. At this time, magic eye pigs and blue-tailed rabbits are artificially bred, and they are of little value. Point. And the meat quality of blue-tailed rabbits is not very good. It can only be said that the nutritional value is good, and the price is not even as good as that of magic eye pigs. Just as Ye Chen was thinking wildly, a black shadow suddenly flashed in front of Ye Chen. Ye Chen's eyes widened, staring at the shadow that stopped not far away. Bay Rear Admiral, searched within 10 kilometers to the west of the city. There is no sign of Ye Chen. A man in military uniform reported to Bazin with an ugly face. Continue to look for it. Get the heavenly eye talent from the Defense Bureau. Bazin was very uneasy in his heart. Point. Then he suddenly thought of something, pulled out his mobile phone, and called Zhang Daosheng. Teacher, I can't find any trace of Ye Chen. I suspect he entered the Lianhai Mountains. Zhang Daosheng paled. Point. A freshman who has only awakened the 4 elms and is still an auxiliary department. If you encounter a high-level alien beast, you will surely die. The two quickly ran towards the residence of the Lion King. Point. And Ye Chen didn't know at the moment that he went out of town and caused a lot of things. I saw him staring at the alien beast in front of him. A cheetah, an extremely fast creature, is outrageous enough to appear in the Daksha territory of the human race. Point. Why did his strength only awaken the 6 realms? Yesterday, the Shadow Cat had 7 realms. It's really stupid. This is a throwback to the chasing cat, and now it is a chasing leopard. Also, a warm reminder, you'd better kill it, because you can't run away from him. The System's voice sounded at this time, and Ye Chen's face changed greatly. 1 KO. Unexpectedly encountered such a beast that must fight to the death. Can't even run. Seeing Ye Chen, the chasing leopard was lost for a moment, seized the opportunity, and disappeared in front of Ye Chen. Ye Chen's whole body is not well. What should I do? What should I do? Ye Chen was full of this question, and it was obvious that it was different from what happened yesterday. Although he killed a shadow cat, at that time the target of the shadow cat was the other two. But now, I'm really feeling real death. The chasing leopard has survived in the forest for so long, and naturally it has killed countless people. Of course, he knew how to hunt the prey. Ye Chen was the prey being played by him at the moment. The grass not far away suddenly moved. Ye Chen turned his head suddenly, but found nothing unusual. But his back was cold, and his eyes couldn't help but glance behind him. I saw that the claws of the chasing leopard were about to cut Ye Chen's neck, wood-style gunslinger tree. At the critical moment, Ye Chen was running the spiritual power in his body. This is a powerful wood-style technique that combines offense and defense. It can not only defend, but also has amazing attack capabilities. Raw. Chasing leopard was completely stunned by the sudden attack. A number of wooden vine branches stretched out from Ye Chen's body and instantly grew into a big tree and devoured the chasing leopard. Ye Chen watched the huge tree block the attack of the chasing leopard and let it take a good amount of damage. Taking this opportunity to open up the distance, his face turned pale. If he hadn't escaped this blow, I'm afraid that my corpse will be separated. Ye Chen subconsciously touched his neck. Thinking of this, Ye Chen's face was full of anger. I don't deserve to use Senju Versal's hand pays wood style. If I don't kill you today, clap. Both hands, the immortal art chakra beads in his head were activated, and several immortal face lines appeared on Ye Chen's face. Eye shadows for both eyes also appeared. Ye Chen was angry. Looking at the chasing leopard in front of him, he was full of murderous aura. The chasing leopard focuses on speed and has not yet broken free from the shackles of the gun tree at this moment. Ye Chen looked at it struggling to break free and smiled unconscionably. You must know that from the beginning to the present, the wood style he used is Yamato's ninjutsu, not Senju Hashirama's real technique. That's also because his ninjutsu consumption is too powerful. Ye Chen narrowed his eyes, feeling the spiritual power in his body that had skyrocketed several times. Both hands knotted. Wood style Milan technique. From the land behind Ye Chen, a huge tree suddenly appeared. After the tree broke out of the ground, it bent down like a dragon. Mulong's eyes lit up, and he looked down at the chasing leopard in front of him. Unlike Senju Hashirama's wooden dragon, Ye Chen's wooden dragon actually transformed into limbs. This made Ye Chen very happy, and the wood dragon technique was certainly powerful. But it can only tie and strangle and bite the enemy. But now that there are limbs, there are other means of attack. The huge movement caused the border guards who entered the forest to explore. A huge strange creature broke through the forest and looked down at the entire forest. And Ye Chen, standing on the wooden dragon, the blue-robed envoy of the beast god sect, who was following behind the border guards to hide his traces, also widened his eyes. Everyone was dumbfounded. The person standing above the wooden dragon is the Ye Chen they are looking for, who has awakened to the Four Elms. Chapter 69-039. They've been looking for you for a day. Have you returned to the city? A border guard soldier silently took out his mobile phone and called Bazin, who was on his way. White Rear Admiral, people found. The first sentence that Bazin, who had just met with Zhang Daosheng, turned on the speakerphone. Let Zhang Daosheng and Bazin face each other. Found it. Where? On the head of a dragon. The big brother was about to cry. Dragon. That's a dragon. How do you fight this beast? Dragon. Dragon, you are paralyzed. Where did the dragon come from in broad daylight? Bazin was instantly angry. Then the big brother turned the phone into a video call. Lord Rear Admiral, wow, I didn't lie to you. Wow, it's really a dragon. Wow. Zhang Daosheng and Bazinren were both stupid, looking at the plate and the forest in front of them. Their limbs were all three claws looking down at the huge wooden dragon, who didn't know what it was. Zhang Daosheng's scalp is numb. How can this be saved? This teacher, what should I do now? Basin also swallowed. Judging from the huge size, the strength of this dragon is not low, but because they are not there. I can't see the origin of this dragon. If it is a real beast, dragon, this legendary creature at least also exists in the scorching sun, right? This kid is still standing on people's heads. Whether it's a real dragon, Ye Chen can't die, and Zhu Shen, who was hiding in the dark, laughed madly. It seems that I don't need to take action, but this dragon, it fits the style of my beast god religion. If you catch a dragon and use it as my guardian god beast, Zhu Shen came up with a plan. If he reported the dragon's information to the headquarters of the beast god sect, he would definitely be able to go further. Isn't it easy to become a black robe envoy? It is even possible to become a more advanced red robe. After he said that, he took a few photos and quickly left Zhanghai City and went straight to the beast god sect branch. Naturally, he wasn't stupid enough to report to Zhao Zixuan. In that case, Zhao Zixuan would definitely take the credit. Ye Chen looked at the wooden dragon under his feet and couldn't help but feel joy in his heart. Fortunately, the wooden dragon I created is not as ugly as the one created by Han. To be honest, I can't blame others. After all, there are cultural differences. In fact, what ninjutsu depicts is roughly what it looks like in the mind. It's not that there is a fixed number of specific seals. Otherwise, creating ninjutsu will not be called creation, but it should be called discovering new ninjutsu. Ye Chen fixed the spiritual energy on the soles of his feet, stood firmly on the wooden dragon head, and waved his small hand. Go on, wooden dragon, kill that kitten for me. The chasing leopard is about to cry now. Why bother? I'm just a little chasing leopard. I was so scared that I cried and gave up resistance. The wooden dragon went down vertically and took a picture. The chasing leopard was caught in the dragon's claws and the strength surged. The chasing leopard splattered blood, killing the 6th level monster chasing the wind leopard. Points plus 60. The border guards are stunned. Zhang Daosheng and Beizan, who were watching the video, were also stunned. 6th level alien beast just pinched to death. Although both of them are at the peak of the inverted sea realm, killing a 6th level alien beast is also easy. After doing all this, Ye Chen controlled the wooden dragon to go deeper into the mountain bay. Rear Admiral Ye Chen was taken away. Are we still chasing it, Bay? Zan took a deep breath. Go back and leave the rest to me. Between the words, Baizan glanced at Zhang Daosheng beside him and nodded. Head towards the Lianhe Mountains. Ye Chen, who was driving the wooden dragon to harvest points, couldn't stop laughing. This fucking is just killing. What other ninjutsu do you need? Ingot wall. Overkill. Okay, I'm too small. Yamato, you really are a rookie. Or my Senju Hanan's ninjutsu. Ye Chen explored the spiritual power in his body, and using the wooden dragon technique, the energy of the previously stored immortal technique was directly consumed. However, what the current wooden dragon maintains is its own spiritual power, but fortunately, the wooden dragon technique is the same as in the original work. As long as it touches the enemy, it can absorb spiritual power from the enemy to maintain itself. This is one of the reasons why Ye Chen kills monsters while on the road. Otherwise, when your chakra is almost used up, you can only be forced to cancel the wooden dragon. Looking at today's earnings, the corpses of the alien beasts are quite valuable, but unfortunately they were all crushed by the wooden dragon. And there is no way to take the corpse back. The space ring can't take so much. But the points, there are more than 7,000. Ye Chen saw that the sun not far away was about to go down, and the forest at night was even more terrifying. There will even be alien beasts that move mountains and fall to the sea. At that time, whether the wooden dragon can deal with it, this is still a question. Thinking of this, Ye Chen controlled the wooden dragon to go back and forth. A few kilometers away from the city gate, the wooden dragon technique was dispersed and swaggered into the city gate. The city defender stared at Ye Chen with wide eyes. An egg could be stuffed into his mouth. You came back alive. He had already heard that this kid was taken away by a dragon. Well, I'm back. Is there any problem? Ye Chen looked puzzled. He still doesn't know that he is standing on the wooden dragon, which has been known by most people. It's okay. Come in. Don't run around next time. Ye Chen is speechless. Dear, are you sure you are not my distant relative? I'm not used to being so concerned about me all of a sudden. Oh, then I'm leaving. After Ye Chen left, the big brother made that call again. Point at the same time, Baizhen and Zhang Daosheng were anxious because they had been searching for several hours and could not find any trace of Ye Chen. Point at this moment, Baizhen's phone rang. Speak. Baizhen said sharply, his blue veins bursting. Ye Chen is back in town. Bei Zhan heard the words and his body was shocked. What? Are you sure? What's the matter? Zhang Daosheng frowned. Now the most urgent task is to find Ye Chen. What else can make you more anxious to confirm? Baizhen was overjoyed. Ye Chen has returned to the city. What? Are you sure? Okay. Both of them react exactly the same way. After Zhang Daosheng confirmed it again and again, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. This kid has a big life. The two looked at each other and smiled, and finally they could go back and have a good rest point. But what happened today? That dragon-like beast. It must be reported to someone higher up. Ye Chen, who returned home, opened the draw gearing up system. I want to draw a lottery. What a? That's how you reacted? Ye Chen was disappointed with the system's response. Regarding Ye Chen's words, the system chose to ignore it, and Ye Chen also shut up. Looking at the 7380 points, Ye Chen excitedly clicked a single draw for 100 points. A miracle alone. I always believe in this. Chapter 17. Zhang Daosheng yelling. Congratulations on getting a bottle of Hokage World Air. Ye Chen, system, can't afford to play. Ye Chen grabbed the spiritual stone next to him and smashed it to the ground. No matter what you get, I just gave you a chance to draw a lottery and I didn't say what I would give you. Then tell me directly, what can I draw from this thing? Ye Chen was depressed as the system said it really didn't say what could be drawn. You can try it out by yourself. Ye Chen's forehead burst with blue veins, and he clenched his fists tightly. The system, don't force me. If you force me again, I'll die for you to see. Okay, untie it now. Bye. You're cruel. You won. Ye Chen was defeated like a mountain. The whole person is sluggish. Looking at the lottery button on the system interface, I tapped the 10 consecutive draws. Then he stared blankly at the system interface. Congratulations on getting Hokage World Air X9. Ye Chen was stunned and then overjoyed. Only 9, that's another good thing. Congratulations on getting expired milk in Uzumaki Naruto's fridge. At this moment, in a certain world, someone opened the refrigerator. Huh? Where's my milk? Ye Chen grabbed the milk that appeared in front of him and smashed it to the ground again. Crap. I'll be your son again in the lottery. The system is silent. Seems to have gone a little too far. Ye Chen was furious, looking at the 10 air bottles on the table. I opened it all up. I thought it would be of some other use. Result. It's useless at all. Ye Chen is helpless. He shouldn't have too much expectations for the so-called lottery. Since ancient times, there have been many losers in gambling on dogs' points. Maybe something else. Thinking of this, Ye Chen could only pick up the spirit stone and start practicing tonight. At this moment, Baizhen and Zhang Daosheng were already standing at Ye Chen's door. Bang! With a loud noise, Ye Chen was frightened. Fuck, in broad daylight, my house blew up. Ye Chen jumped up directly from the sofa. Two figures walked in, and two murderous eyes looked directly at Ye Chen. Ye Chen was stunned. Old Zhang, why are you kicking my door? By the way, who is this? You have to pay for this door. By the way, why are you so dirty all over? The moment Ye Chen saw Zhang Daosheng, the chattering started. The corners of Baizhen's eyes have been twitching at the moment. This kid, poisonous. On the other hand, Zhang Daosheng, with a gloomy face and anger, roared at Ye Chen. What the fuck are you embarrassed to say? Who let you out of the city? What if one of your auxiliary departments dies outside the city? Are you able to go to the Lionhei Mountains? Fortunately, the dragon let you back. Otherwise, are you worthy of Laos's high expectations for you? Zhang Daosheng was really angry, and his voice was as loud as thunder. Ye Chen is just stupid. How did he know I was out of town? Also know that I went to the Lionhei Mountains? And the wood dragon thing? Zhang Daosheng became more and more angry. Fuck you. Laozi made you practice escaping. Not for you to practice life. I'm fucking Ye Chen looked at Zhang Daosheng's angry look and smiled unconscionably. There was a warmth in his heart, and the old boy was too worried. I alright, it's okay, what if? Zhang Daosheng pointed at Ye Chen and cursed. Okay, calm down, can't I be wrong? Ye Chen looked at Zhang Daosheng and scolded himself, but he couldn't bear any resentment. It seems that, since the parents left, no one scolds himself for caring about him anymore. This feeling is quite addicting. After Zhang Daosheng scolded for half an hour, he sat down on the sofa angrily. Ye Chen took out a bottle of drink from the refrigerator with a smile on his face and handed it to Zhang Daosheng. Old Zhang, is your throat uncomfortable? You're old, don't get angry, you know. Come, drink some water. Basin on the side watched Zhang Daosheng scolding for half an hour. While watching the play. I can't help but think that the teacher's scolding skills are still so excellent. Hearing Ye Chen's words, Zhang Daosheng couldn't help it anymore. Just as he was about to continue cursing, Basin quickly stopped Zhang Daosheng. Teacher, it's been half an hour, forget it, you're going to cool off. Zhang Daosheng looked up at Basin, snorted angrily, tilted his head, and stopped talking. Basin knew that the teacher was trying to save his face and to find a step for himself. Hello junior, I'm Basin. Basin extended his right hand in a friendly manner. Ye Chen blinked, stretched out his right hand, and held it together. Hello, senior Bei. Zan laughed and said, Junior, you went to the Lionhe mountain range this time, but the teacher and I have traveled all over the mountain range, so we are about to give the Lion King a battle letter. Ye Chen glanced at Basin awkwardly and said apologetically, I'm sorry, old Zhang, I won't dare next time. And next time. Zhang Daosheng was angry. No more. Ye Chen quickly waved his hand. How's your training going? It's almost 5 realms. Well, then. Zhang Daosheng was stunned. Wait. What did you say? It's almost 5 realms. Ye Chen squinted his eyes and repeated it with a smile. The white warriors on the side are going to be stupid. 4 days? It's almost 5. Zhang Daosheng immediately calmed down and glanced at the door around him that he kicked. He took out a bunch of keys from his pocket and threw it to Ye Chen. Go to the school to live in. The villa on the mountain behind the school is unoccupied. I'll give it to you. Zhang Daosheng glanced at Ye Chen, stood up and turned to leave. Without looking back, he said, I'll have 3 meals delivered to you, as long as you practice well. Bei. Zan and Ye Chen looked at Zhang Daosheng's leaving figure and felt it. That's the way the teacher is, tough-mouthed, soft-hearted, and good to everyone. But I didn't treat you like that at the time. Basin patted Ye Chen's shoulder lightly. I know. Ye Chen looked at the key in his hand and muttered, it's been many years, no one cares about me. It seemed like a word that didn't matter, but Basin was stunned. There is a lot of sadness in this sentence. Since the teacher is gone, I'll go back first. This is my contact information. If you have anything, you must contact me, my brother, do you understand? Basin handed a black card to Ye Chen. There are only 2 large white characters and a string of numbers on it. White battle, black business card with white name. Ye Chen was not polite and could hear the difference in tone. The original Basin claimed to be a senior, but now he claims to be a teacher. Obviously, he has improved some position in Basin's heart. Ye Chen smiled. Okay, I know my brother, Sky Academy, I'm more and more yearning for it. Basin waved his hand. When he heard Ye Chen's straightforward answer, he walked to the window, pulled the window down with one hand, and jumped. Ye Chen is stunned. Although Ao Zhang has given a new residence, this house, there is no need to be so tossed, right? Also, can't you not break something? I miss Leoli. At least Leoli is here, and the family is sound. Liemo, who was far away in the Sky College, sneezed suddenly. Which beauty is thinking of me? Chapter 18. Ye Chen, die pervert, and Basin and Zhang Daosheng seem to have forgotten something. A little brother with a talent for heavenly eyes is shivering outside the Lionhe mountains at the moment. He was still muttering, it's a bit cold at night outside the city. By the way, where is Rear Admiral? Poor child. May you be well. However, the source of everything, Ye Chen, He was already comfortably lying in the villa on the mountain behind the school. The 2-story villa is barely 3 floors. If you count the basement one. It is indeed quite small, covering an area of more than 100 square meters, and the yard is barely 10,000 square meters, plus a back mountain. Ye Chen's eyes can be described as vicious. As soon as he arrived, he directly occupied the room with the best viewpoint. 2 huge floor-to-ceiling windows just look east. Wake up early tomorrow. You can still see the sunrise. Old Zhang, this guy really enjoys it. Ye Chen didn't think about it anymore, took out the spirit stone, and put it on the floor, jumped up, and threw himself on the soft bed. Fall into dreamland. Breaking through the realm in sleep. Is it okay? In the early morning, the first ray of sunlight fell into the house, and Ye Chen also opened his eyes. The first time I felt a flow of spiritual power in my body, I was ecstatic. Sure enough, sleeping can also break through. After a simple wash, Ye Chen started his boring practice again. However, Ye Chen was a little unhappy. He had strength, but he couldn't go anywhere. And simple practice is too boring. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Dang. Dang dang. Is there anyone? Ye Chen, who was sitting on the sofa in the living room, frowned and opened the door. A short girl was holding a bento. The moment she saw Ye Chen, her eyes slightly dodged, and she handed the bento directly to Ye Chen. This is. Ye Chen was stunned. It was the principal who asked me to bring it here. The things were delivered, and I left. The girl just said a word and left. Ye Chen looked at the figure of the other party leaving. She seemed to despise me in her eyes, but he shook his head and said nothing. After a simple breakfast, I took out my phone and opened the class group. Although I haven't been to the class for a long time, and the class is divided into several groups, it is still so lively. It's just that compared to ordinary chat, touting each other is more common. Ye Chen, who was about to close the class group, noticed a message. Did you know? Ye Chen from our class rejected the Imperial Capital University and even threatened that all the dogs would not go to Imperial Capital University. I heard about it. It is said that the senior of the senior year was also beaten. The senior didn't want to care about him, so he didn't fight back. Wow. Is Ye Chen so damn it? I didn't see it before. What's the matter? They have awakened SSS level talent. It's normal to be a little arrogant compared with the previous few gossips. The latter sentence is obviously full of sourness. Ye Chen looked at the chat log, and his heart was full of anger. Don't even think about it. It must be Yan Feng's masterpiece. However, Ye Chen didn't intend to explain to these people. The clearer would clear himself. Besides, with one's own strength, as long as it's not a senior, but a student of the same class, you won't be cowardly at all, right? After adjusting his mentality, Ye Chen closed the group chat. Yan Feng. Interesting. Next time it won't be bloodshed. Ye Chen muttered with a gloomy face. But Ye Chen immediately remembered why the girl just looked at him with that kind of eyes. I'm afraid there is another way to say it. Thinking of this, Ye Chen shook his head and stopped thinking about it. After eating, Ye Chen came to the playground. How boring is it to just practice? Then of course you have to do something else. Zhang Daosheng also came to school early and saw that Ye Chen was running hard. Immediately very happy. This kid finally knows the importance of escaping. But Zhang Daosheng turned his head and thought, right. This guy has 4 realms. Isn't realm more important than being able to run? Boy, Yi, come here. Zhang Daosheng waved his little hand. Ye Chen also saw Zhang Daosheng and ran towards him all the way. Although Ye Chen's physical fitness is now in a very good state, sweating is certain. More or less hot. Old Zhang, what's the matter? Seeing Ye Chen sweating profusely, Zhang Daosheng raised his mouth slightly and pointed it out. A cold air gushed out from the index finger, lowering Ye Chen's temperature. I'll go. This thing is easy to use. Why don't I belong to the ice type? How much air conditioning can I save? Ye Chen said in shock with wide eyes. Zhang Daosheng was a little speechless. Your first reaction turned out to be saving air conditioning costs. Cough. Cough. I accidentally said what was in my heart. Ye Chen touched the back of his head and said embarrassedly. Zhang Daosheng suddenly wanted to laugh when he saw Ye Chen like this. I taught you to run away, to exercise your physical fitness, but your physical fitness is very good now. So you don't need to exercise. You should spend your time on cultivation. This is why Zhang Daosheng called Ye Chen over. I know, but just cultivating is too boring. Ye Chen said depressedly. Boring? Can I find a beautiful girl for you to practice with you? Zhang Daosheng replied angrily. Zhang Daosheng just said it casually, but he didn't expect Ye Chen to take it seriously. Yeah, Zhang Daosheng was stunned. How dare you say yes? Just as he was about to beat Ye Chen, he suddenly found a figure. Zhang Daosheng showed a sinister smile on the corner of his mouth. Okay, you wait. Ye Chen is also stunned. What the heck? I'm just a mouthful. Xiaodi, come here. I saw Zhang Daosheng beckoning towards the girl not far away. When the girl saw Zhang Daosheng calling her, she trotted all the way. Uncle Zhang, are you looking for me? Li Xiaodi looked puzzled, not knowing that at the moment she had been sold by Zhang Daosheng. Only then did Ye Chen realize that this girl was the one who brought her breakfast in the morning. So, it's you. Ye Chen said involuntarily. Li Xiaodi only discovered Ye Chen's existence when she heard the words and immediately replied with some disgust. Ye Chen doesn't understand. What's the situation? That's it. How many spiritual stones do you need to cultivate in a day? Zhang Daosheng glanced at Ye Chen and said solemnly, about 10 or so. Li Xiaodi explained truthfully. Zhang Daosheng nodded. Okay, then I'll give you 20 spirit stones a day, and you can accompany this kid to practice. Ye Chen. Li Xiaodi. Old Zhang, I'm just kidding. Uncle Zhang, I'm going to tell my dad that you are like this. Li Xiaodi said angrily. Zhang Daosheng wanted to laugh when he heard the words. Yes, forget it if you don't want to. It's a pity that Yu Xiaozi is such a good boy. You don't understand it. Li Xiaodi was a little shocked when she heard Zhang Daosheng's words. Uncle Zhang, are you okay with your brain? What's so good about Ye Chen's death? Pervert. Dead. Pervert. Zhang Daosheng and Ye Chen spoke in unison, and the two were stunned at the same time. Chapter 19 The Origin of the System. WOULDN-039. It really be a system? Ye Chen exploded with rage on the spot. No need to think about it. It must be passed down by Yan Feng again. Uncle Zhang, didn't you know that Ye Chen was taken care of by a rich woman outside of school? Li Xiaodi angrily pointed at Ye Chen and scolded. How can you be so kind to such a person? He also threatened to say that Imperial College is a garbage school. Zhang Daosheng looked at Ye Chen inexplicably. Boy, when did you get fostered? I don't know. Ye Chen shrugged innocently, then looked at Li Xiaodi. You have to be responsible for what you say. When did I get taken care of? Li Xiaodi quickly distanced herself from Ye Chen and said with a wary expression. Now, the whole school knows that you, a poor student, suddenly have no worries about food and clothing, and you have eaten meat buns of 200 yuan. You must be taken care of. Ye Chen's face is dumbfounded. That's all. Zhang Daosheng was speechless. Xiaodi, you misunderstood. After Ye Chen heard these words, he immediately had a plan. Yeah, I was raised. What? Don't talk about 200 pieces of meat buns. Even if it's 200,000 spirit stones, I can use one to throw one. What's the drop? Ye Chen said proudly, and what he said was naturally supplemented by Li Xiaodi. Li Xiaodi pointed at Ye Chen and roared angrily. Damn you pervert. Uncle Zhang, look at him. Seeing that Ye Chen had no choice, he could only see if Zhang Daosheng could decide for himself. Zhang Daosheng glared at Ye Chen fiercely, and Li Xiaodi was overjoyed when he saw this, but the next second, she was dumbfounded. I saw Zhang Daosheng coughing twice. Boy, Li's resources. I gave them. Li Xiaodi is confused. Uncle Zhang, you, with him, me. Li Xiaodi couldn't believe it. After swallowing, he looked at Ye Chen, and then at Zhang Daosheng. Then he took a deep breath. I understand. I won't tell my aunt. Ye Chen suddenly became stupid. Good guy. You are not only stupid, you are also a rotten girl. Zhang Daosheng raised his hand and gave Li Xiaodi a dunk. Can you be more mature? It's almost 22 years old. When your aunt is 22 years old, your brother Zile is about to land. Zhang Daosheng hates that iron cannot become steel. Although Li Xiaodi is not his daughter, the relationship between Zhang Daosheng and Li Mo is also invincible. Naturally, she took great care of Li Xiaodi. Li Xiaodi was very aggrieved, with a pitiful expression on her face. Ye Chen shook his head helplessly, seeing the flowers in the greenhouse. Then he stood up and said, Ye Chen, an SSS level talent, even if it is an auxiliary department, someone will be willing to train me, and Lao Zhang is the one who chose to train me, understand? The rumors stop at the wise. The Imperial University is a giant. As a normal male creature, as long as my brain is no longer a what, I can't say that Imperial University is trash. As for the resources you said, old Zhang gave it. Now it can be said that Lao Zhang is supporting me. There is nothing wrong with it. Old Zhang is right. You need to be mature. At 22 years old, the nutrition of your brain has been robbed by the 2 pieces of meat on your chest, right? If it weren't for you being Lao Li's daughter, I wouldn't be too lazy. Take a look at you. Ye Chen said more and more, and said all the words in his mind angrily. Ye Chen's words echoed in Li Xiaodi's mind. Her eyes were red, and she ran away all the way. Xiaodi. Zhang Daosheng shouted anxiously, looking at Xiaodi's back. Ye Chen glanced at Zhang Daosheng and said, Old Zhang, this little girl is usually very well protected by you. You have to know what to do, and you can't bear it with just a few words. If you and Lao Li are not here in the future, how should she protect herself? By crying? Ye Chen turned around and left, leaving Zhang Daosheng thinking about it. Zhang Daosheng agrees with Ye Chen's words, but after all, it's easier said than done. It can only be like this. Zhang Daosheng sighed silently. But Ye Chen, who returned home, immediately regretted it. I'm going to start a boring life of cultivation again. System, is there any way that I can cultivate while eating and sleeping? System, forget it. I think too much. There are still 2 months before the college entrance examination. It's only been 5 days now. Boring life. On the other side, the moat was frantically looking for Ye Chen's traces, but couldn't find them. Because Ye Chen was already living in the school's villa at the moment. As long as Zhang Daosheng didn't speak, they couldn't find Ye Chen's place. Yang Sanjin was very depressed. It's a pity, my big brother and I met like old friends. Come on, Captain, that's what you told me last time. Chen King was speechless thinking back to that year. Yang Sanjin also told him the same thing, which made him unable to raise his head at the time, thinking that the captain had confessed himself. Hey, is that so? I forgot. Yang Sanjin touched the back of his head and smiled awkwardly. In the Beast God Sect branch, Zhu Shen quickly got the opportunity to report to his superiors with the help of his identity as a blue-robed messenger. Zhu Shen will truthfully report everything he saw in the Lionhei Mountains. Hearing the news, the Beast God Sect immediately became restless. Catch a dragon to be a guardian beast, absolutely in line with the style of the beast. Gods, today's lottery has arrived. No need to draw. Today is the intermediate sage body for you. Ye Chen had been waiting for the number of draws today. At the moment when the time countdown ended, the sound of the system sounded in my mind. Ye Chen was speechless. You at least let me experience the joy of the lottery. Ha. Ha. By the way, what kind of system are you in? Can you be normal? No. Comment. You are too weak. Hearing this, Ye Chen rolled his eyes, seeing that you are not a serious system. It's a coincidence. You're not a serious person. Ye Chen has now begun to thoroughly doubt the origin of the system. This is definitely not a serious system. Does the serious system give you what you want? Beginner Sage Body's booster. Ye Chen can already use Wood Dragon. That intermediate Sage Body can almost use Wooden Golem Jutsu. An 18-year-old young man in Awakening Realm. If he uses true several thousand hands, afraid that the whole world will be shocked, right? Thinking of this, Ye Chen squeezed the purple light ball in his hand, and a stream of air entered Ye Chen's body. Only this time, unlike before, the bead did not appear, but the beads in Ye Chen's body also skyrocketed a lot. Even so, Ye Chen didn't feel any pain. Feeling the changes in her body, Ye Chen was very happy. Wood style is really in line with chakra, the magic of Shibone Forest. The Katsuya chakra of Shibone Forest tends to heal, and wood style also has a Muji healing. With the blessing of the intermediate sage body, the body's recovery ability is brought to a high level. Ye Chen can't wait try wooden golem jutsu, but he suppressed it again and gave a surprise. Wouldn't it be better? Ye Chen has seen the day of the college entrance examination. Liao Zhang Laoli saw his performance and his jaw dropped in shock. Thinking of this, Ye Chen's mouth couldn't help showing a wretched smile. Chapter 20 Pervert Real Hammer. Just when Ye Chen smirked, a footstep sounded point before Ye Chen could react. A scream came. Ah. You really are a pervert. Li Xiaodi looked at Ye Chen's smirk point. A large-scale pervert series was created directly in the brain. Ye Chen was stunned and quickly wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth point. He frowned and asked, "What are you doing here? How did you get in? HMPH, do you think I want to come? If it wasn't for my dad asking me to come, I wouldn't come." Li Xiaodi said. Ye Chen was speechless. That guy, Old Li, came to me with a big trouble. Old Li. Big trouble? Li Xiaodi was furious. "Ye pervert. Pay attention to what you say. Okay, lead action. Will you shut up?" Ye Chen waved his hand helplessly point. Although he told Zhang Daosheng that his cultivation was boring, he now regrets it point. It's really annoying to have such a thing here. Big breasts? Li Xiaodi hugged herself with a flushed face when she heard the words and was about to refute. "It's okay to live here. You clean the hygiene and cook the meals. You are not allowed to come up on the second floor without my consent." Ye Chen closed his eyes and said these few points. Li Xiaodi was dumbfounded. "A beautiful woman of mine came to live with you, but you ask me. Also, I gave you my clothes too. I'm too lazy to wash them." After saying the last sentence, Ye Chen got up and left and returned to his room point, leaving Li Xiaodi in a daze. 3 days passed quickly, and since the intermediate sage body, the system has not given anything good point but enough. Ye Chen is not a greedy person. But, what do Higa Hinata socks and Hiruno Sakura's turban mean? Am I Ye Chen like this kind of person? The socks you give to Hinata will do. What does the hijab mean? I'm missing that hijab! Exclamation mark. Ye Chen felt the loosening of the realm in his body. After 3 days, he finally stepped into the 6th realm point. It seems that after the 5 realms, the speed of cultivation is much slower. It's only been 8 days since I woke up. However, in the past 3 days, Li Xiaodi finally understood the good intentions of Li Mo and Zhang Daosheng point. After all, Ye Chen's cultivation speed is too fast. It quickly makes people doubt life point. At the same time, in the Lianhe Mountains, a group of people have been searching for 2 days and 2 nights. Head, do you think the dragon that the blue-robed envoy said really exists? A little scoundrel suddenly took the lead and asked point. The man rolled his eyes. "You ask me? Did I ask your mother? Huh? How could my mother know?" The person who took the lead in the search looked at this person strangely. "You must be seriously ill." The man's eyes widened. "Head, how do you know? My brain is a bit stupid. The doctor said I had encephalitis." "Head, you are too powerful." The crowd was speechless. The leader ignored it and said with a heavy face, "If this dragon is found, we will probably die at the hands of this dragon. But if the dragon can't be found, it's hard for us to blame it. This is a chore." The people on the side agreed one after another. To be honest, most people still didn't want to find it point. After all, the power of alien beasts is known to everyone, let alone a dragon. "Hey, you are so smart. Why didn't I think about this?" "Shut up, little idiot." "Okay, head on." Ye Chen sighed. Li Xiaodi made breakfast early and waited for Ye Chen to go downstairs to eat point. Although at first, Li Xiaodi resisted point, but Zhang Daosheng promised 20 spirit stones a day. He used 10 of them, and his father gave 10, and he could earn 20 a day. If you change it into currency, you will make a net profit of 2 million a day. No, it's coming point. One thing to say, although Li Mo has a very good relationship with Zhang Daosheng, the resources of the college belong to the college after all point. You can't misappropriate it yourself, but Ye Chen and Zhang Daosheng can. After all, Li Xiaodi's talent is not good, the alien beast talent is Yank, and the talent is worthy of B level. He only awakened to the 4th level when he was 21 years old point. In desperation, he could only come to Zhanghe No. 1 middle school to be a teacher. When Ye Chen knew that Li Xiaodi was a teacher, his face was full of surprise point. He also mocked for a while, and he can be a teacher with a big chest and no brains. Boy, Yi, Laozi is calling. Boy, Yi, Laozi is calling. Boy. Yi, Laozi is calling. Suddenly, Ye Chen's cell phone rang. Ye Chen reluctantly took out his mobile phone, and it was Zhang Daosheng who called. He didn't answer. This guy's took calls the day before yesterday, and then he asked Li Xiaodi to change this exclusive ringtone, which he recorded himself. Hearing the phone ringing, Li Xiaodi on the side suddenly wanted to laugh. Ye Chen calmed down his bad mood. What's the matter, Comrade Zhang? TSK, the speed of answering the phone today is good. It is worthy of praise. Okay, you always called and said this? I'm hanging up. Ye Chen rolled his eyes. Of course it's a good thing to find you. Blue Tiger forced to find a low-level secret realm today. Only people below the 7th realm of awakening are allowed to enter. I asked you for a place. Zhang Daosheng said leisurely. Secret realm? Ye Chen's eyes glowed. In addition to cultivating these days, he also checked a lot of information. The so-called secret realms are the relics left by some ancient civilizations. You can go through some specific items. For example, the item this time is a jade pendant. There are still humans in some of the ruins, but they don't understand the language. In such a low-level secret realm, there will be no strong people who move mountains, but relatively speaking, the breathing techniques, weapons, and other things in the secret realm are relatively low-level existences at present. Most of the weapons of the human race are only tough and powerful, but they cannot increase the aura. The weapons in the secret realm can increase the aura. Well, the low-level secret realm is not very dangerous. I think with your cultivation of awakening the 5 realms, you should be able to get some opportunities and exercise yourself. Zhang Daosheng continued. In his eyes, if Ye Chen's cultivation goes up, his strength will not increase at all. If Sky Academy fails to protect him in the future, he also has some self-protection power. Old Zhang, there is one thing, you are wrong. I'm in 6 realms. Ye Chen said jokingly. Zhang Daosheng was silent for a moment, and a word came faintly. Pervert. Before Ye Chen could speak, Zhang Daosheng's tone accelerated. That's it. Come to my office at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Then hang up quickly. Ye Chen is a little helpless. This old man. Li Xiaodi on the side smiled and said, look at it. I'll say you're a pervert, right? You still don't admit it? Now Uncle Zhang thinks you're a pervert. Chapter 21 The King of the Lianhe Mountains. Zephyr Lion King. After Li Xiaodi complained about Ye Chen, she ran away. Ye Chen had black lines all over his head and reached out to hold his forehead. I can't get rid of the name of pervert, can I? Ye Chen looked at the figure of Li Xiaodi leaving and didn't think about it anymore. Just stepping into the 6 realms, it is natural to consolidate the cultivation base. But Ye Chen didn't know that a crisis against him was slowly approaching. Sir, there was another person on the head of the dragon that day. Seeing that there were no results in the search for many days, Zhu Shen became a little impatient. Deng Shizhang turned his head to look at Zhu Shen, and a murderous intent poured into Zhu Shen's body. You said something so important now. Zhu Shen was so frightened that his feet softened. After all, he was just a mountain mover, and the other party was a red-clothed ambassador. Starry existence. Sir, spare your life, the little one thought. I thought that kid didn't even move to the mountains. He should have died a long time ago when he met a real dragon. Zhu Shen quickly knelt down and begged for mercy. Deng Shizhang sighed and glanced at Zhu Shen. Forget it. I can't blame you. An awakening state is really nothing to worry about. Zhu Shen was in a cold sweat, but fortunately escaped the catastrophe. With such a big gap in realm, if the opponent made a move, he would surely die. Although Zhu Shen discovered the dragon, it was Deng Shizhang who got the most credit. But Zhu Shen can indeed gain greater benefits. After all, if he reports to Zhao Zixun, then he will definitely not get as much as Deng Shizhang gave him. But it is clear that disadvantages also arise. The opponent's strength is too strong. If you want to obliterate yourself, you can do it without knowing it, and even if you are known, no one dares to say anything to him as a red-robed messenger. However, Deng Shizhang was thinking in his heart, the Lianhe Mountains are so big, and there is a Lion King there, so he can't. Deng Shizhang frowned, but suddenly relaxed. After he finished speaking, he directly grabbed Zhu Shen and lifted off into the sky. Zhu Shen's feet softened. Sir, where are we going? Go. and see the Lion King of the Lion-Hai Mountains. Dong Shizhang smiled contemptuously. Zhu Shen was so frightened that everyone was stupid. The Lion King was in the realm of stars, sir. Isn't that bad? What's wrong? Dong Shizhang's face changed slightly, and the little thing dared to refute Laozi. I mean, what is the status of the Lord? Of course, the Lion King will come to see you. Why bother the Lord to see the Lion King? Zhu Shen's desire for life was directly full point, just for the desire to survive and give you a thumbs up. Isn't it too much? Dong Shizhang was overjoyed when he heard the words, "You can talk." Not bad. Everyone likes good words, and Dong Shizhang is no exception. And then he fixed his figure. Boy, cover your ears. Zhu Shen heard the words and quickly covered up. It's the Lion King of Lion-Hai Mountains here. Come out and see you. The huge sound spread throughout the mountain range, and countless birds were startled. Alien beasts fled everywhere in a panic, and even some strong men who hunted alien beasts in the mountains raised their heads to look at the place where the sound came from. Someone provokes the Lion King. I really don't know whether to live or die. Let's go. A three-person team glanced in the distance and quickly fled in the opposite direction. It can only be said that these three people are not destined to be the protagonists, but they must not be short-lived ghosts in a crypt. On top of a pale white huge spiritual stone, the behemoth lying on his stomach opened his eyes. It's the Lion King of Lion-Hai Mountains here. Come out and see you. It's the Lion King of Lion-Hai Mountains here. Come out and see you. Dong Shizhang's voice was still echoing. The Lion King slowly stood up from the stone bed made of spirit stones, his eyes full of anger. I haven't done it for so many years. Has the human race forgot my reputation as the Lion King? The Lion King walked out of the crypt, and the huge body directly smashed the gravel around the crypt. It can be seen that when the Lion King entered, it should not be so big. It should be a small accomplishment. This is a wine-type West Wind Lion King, and speed is his forte. And Dong Shizhang is also clearly aware of the Lion King. It seems that it is not the first time to deal with. Yo, the stupid lion isn't dead yet. Dong Shizhang mocked with a half smile. And the West Wind Lion King glared angrily. Old man, it's you. Want to fight again? The Lion King of the West Wind had many calculations in his heart. In his early years, Dong Shizhang was the rear admiral of the human race guarding Zhanghai City, and he fought against the Lion King many times after that. I don't know why it didn't show up again. However, the West Wind Lion King recognized what the red robe on Dong Shizhang's body meant. Well, I didn't expect you to join the beast god cult after not seeing you for so many years. Why? You're not used to people. If you really can't, why don't you come and settle down with me in Lion-Hai Mountain? I'll keep this position as the second in command of Lion-Hai Mountain for you. The West Wind Lion King said mockingly. Dong Shizhang wasn't angry either. Anyway, it's not a day or two for this beast to have a broken mouth, and he has long been accustomed to it. Stupid lion with such a sharp mouth. Those who didn't know it thought it was a person. Dong Shizhang said with a smile. Then he waved his hand again. I heard that an uninvited guest came to the Lion-Hai Mountains recently. Does the stupid lion know where he is? The West Wind Lion King was stunned on the spot. I thought you were here to fight me, but you found someone. Why should I tell you? Just let me spare your life. How about that? Dong Shizhang knew that this Lion King would not speak easily. Unexpectedly, the West Wind Lion King laughed instead of being angry. The wind howled all around. Roar. A lion roar broke through the sky, and Dong Shizhang's face changed greatly. Looking at the lake not far away, he threw Zhen in his hand into the lake. I saw that the Lion King who was standing opposite Dong Shizhang had long since disappeared. A human-shaped beast stood behind Dong Shizhang, with its mane draped behind the West Wind Lion King like a cloak. His eyes were red, and a dress-like shoulder armor appeared on his shoulders. Although he appeared behind Dong Shizhang, he did not act. You broke through the starry realm. Dong Shizhang's face was extremely ugly. The West Wind Lion King in front of him was no longer in the starry realm, but in the bright moon realm. The West Wind Lion King put his small hand on Dong Shizhang's shoulder. Old man, don't be afraid. If I want to kill you, you are already dead. Dong Shizhang pretended to be calm. What the Lion King said is very, tell me, what do you want me to do? The West Wind Lion King waved his hand gently, and the two instantly appeared on the ground point in the cave of the Lion King of the West Wind. Although it is simple, there are many seats except for the bed. Deng Shizhang hesitated to speak, but he had no choice. Facing the West Wind Lion King in the Bright Moon Realm, he could not escape. Not to mention, being known for speed, the West Wind Lion King in the Starry Realm can use his speed to avoid the Bright Moon Realm powerhouse. Not to mention he is already in the Bright Moon Realm. I came to Lion Hay Mountains for a strange beast. Deng Shizhang adjusted his mentality and took a deep breath. Oh, alien beasts. The West Wind Lion King was interested, which was interesting. Yes, that alien beast is a dragon. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22 Zhang Daosheng and -039 S words. Hearing the words, the West Wind Lion King suddenly slapped the table and stood up. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. This Lion King is inseparable from the Lion Hay mountain range, something like a dragon. If it really appears, I can't feel the breath. That's the existence of the starry world at birth. The blood pressure is directly suppressed by me. How can I, seeing that the West Wind Lion King had such a big reaction? Deng Shizhang said with a wry smile. What did I lie to you for? If I didn't get the news, I couldn't come here on purpose. To meet your old friend, right? I've been fighting for so many years, and I don't want to fight you for a long time. If it wasn't for the last resort, the West Wind Lion King was stunned. Indeed, as Deng Shizhang said, if this matter is false, he does not need to come to the door in person. The West Wind Lion King's expression changed again and again, and after thinking for a while, he finally realized that there was a strange energy that day. Then he said directly, about a few days ago, I did feel a spiritual energy. He absorbed a lot of spiritual energy around him, but his strength was not strong. From what I felt, it was at most an awakening state, about in that direction. The West Wind Lion King raised his hand and pointed to the entrance of the cave. That day, Ye Chen rode the wooden dragon and ran all the way towards the West Wind Lion King. Awakening realm? Impossible. A dragon? How could it be just awakening realm? Deng Shizhang said anxiously. The West Wind Lion King glanced at Deng Shizhang. His eyes narrowed slightly. Believe it or not, if you hadn't joined the beast god cult, you'd be considered a half-orc. I'd have killed you long ago. Tell you so much has been done. Deng Shizhang is speechless. Why are you more like a person than me? One of these idioms is more six than the other. Deng Shizhang hurriedly bowed and said goodbye. One step ahead, and many more. Deng Shizhang paused. Bring me something delicious next time. It's your human food. The West Wind Lion King said. Since breaking into the Bright Moon Realm and transformed into a half-human body, raw food feels more and more unpalatable. Then, like a human being, lighting a fire and eating cooked food, it really tastes much better. There was an unlucky ghost who accidentally entered the West Wind Lion King cave and was left in the cave as a cook for more than half a year. Finally, one day, he was accidentally slapped to death by the Lion King. Deng Shizhang left the word good and left in a hurry. The West Wind Lion King took a meaningful look at Deng Shizhang's figure, changed into a beast shape, and lay on the huge spiritual stone again. Deng Shizhang was just thinking about what to do, but he didn't notice that the huge pale stone was a spiritual stone. It seems that the plan is ahead of time. I don't know how the guy is preparing. The Lion King looked up into the air, as if waiting for someone to come. Then he suddenly remembered what Deng Shizhang said, and the West Wind Lion King said disdainfully, "Dragon? It's a joke. I'm afraid it's just a small dragon. Gyro is gyro. Dragon is dragon. The world is different." At the same time, the entire Zhanghai city was affected by the huge roar of the previous West Wind Lion King, and many weak beings fainted. Many people in the hospital are undergoing surgery, and those who are seriously ill are directly declared dead on the spot. That roar made countless people instantly lose consciousness. The whole city was in chaos. There were car accidents everywhere. A mess, just a whistle. Basin looked at the pile of information sent up and became angry. Lion King, it's too deceiving, and the city owner has no way to start. After all, he is only a clerk. The order in the city has been restored, but the Lion King, it can only be handed over to Basin. Basin is also very powerless. Although he was transferred to sit in Zhanghe City, the Lion King is in the Starry Realm after all. However, Zhanghe City is not without the power of a battle, and technology also has a super powerful role. There used to be intercontinental missile Skynets, interceptor missiles, etc. in various countries. Thermal weapons also pose a certain threat, but unfortunately, at the level of the Starry Realm, you have to use large heavy weapons, or even nuclear weapons, but nuclear weapons are absolutely impossible to use, and the place where the human race stands is so little point. If you use it, you have to abandon a piece of land. Let's go to the city to stabilize the situation first. Later, I'll chat with the Lion King. Basin rubbed his temples. This matter has been upgraded to the upper level to know, but there is no specific solution yet. Basin also knew that the situation on the front line was critical now, and naturally he had no time to take care of Zhanghe City. Rear Admiral, no, retreat, and quickly go to the city to help. Bei Zan's words were a bit harsh and could not be refused. The man didn't dare to say more and quickly backed away. On the other side, Ye Chen also helped save people in the city. Wood style secret technique, plus the blessing of Shibone Forest immortal technique. His spiritual power can really easily heal others. It's just not as practical as medical ninjutsu. After all, it's just a direct transfer of spiritual energy to others. Boy, Yi, how is the situation now? Zhang Daosheng came to the infirmary and asked quickly when Ye Chen was helping with treatment. Fortunately, although everyone's strength is not very strong, there are no casualties. They just fainted. What I'm worried about now are those kindergartens, elementary schools, and even hospitals in the city. Ye Chen's face was gloomy. Zhang Daosheng took a deep breath and slowly closed his eyes. I just came from home, all the way messed up. Ye Chen suddenly raised his head and looked at Zhang Daosheng with murderous eyes. Old Zhang, you should know who did it. Zhang Daosheng was silent. Zhang Daosheng looked at Ye Chen and sighed. So what if I told you? You are too weak. Are you going to die? To the north of Kyoto, the war on the front line has killed and injured countless people every day. I'm very happy that you can be angry for these civilians in Zhanghe City, but you have to learn to control your emotions. It's not that you are unhappy, you can solve it. Ye Chen was stunned and lowered his head in thought. As Zhang Daosheng said, he can be angry about it, but he must not lose his mind because of it. Then he turned his head to breathe out the breath of another student who passed out. The whole school was 80% dizzy, and the juniors in the first and second grades of high school were basically dizzy. Some senior high school students whose cultivation was not strong enough also fainted. In the city, adults have more or less realms, and one realm counts. But what about kindergartens? What about those elementary school students? What about those elderly people who are dying in hospital beds? Thinking of this, Ye Chen's chest seemed to have a suffocation that couldn't be spit out. Why get angry? It is because they are both humans, but they are like ants. Zhang Daosheng saw that Ye Chen's state was a little wrong and hurriedly stepped forward and patted Ye Chen's shoulder. Be calm and calm. You have to get used to this kind of thing. War is always the most cruel. What you see now is just the tip of the iceberg, so you can't stand it anymore. Ye Chen was silent, not wanting to say more. Chapter 23, Acquaintances Meet. The human race is fragile, and once upon a time, it was the master of the world. 20 billion humans rule the world, but since the evolution of alien beasts, governments around the world are losing ground in the face of the aggression of alien beasts. The evil flood dragon king of East Blue, the great peng bird of the west, under the glaciers at the north and south poles, in the huge ocean, countless relics were born. Countless countries were destroyed in this catastrophe. Now, only the Daksha Federation is left, which is currently the last country. Because there is a god in Daksha, protecting the peace of the human race for hundreds of years of the 20 billion human races. There are only a few billion left. Countless races have been wiped out. In the current world, the most people who remain are the yellow race. Everyone thought that the nightmare of the human race was over, but only a few people know. The battle situation on the front line is anxious, and the alien beasts in the territory are rampant. There are alien beasts outside, and there are people who are beasts and gods. Today's lottery time is up. Senior Sage Body, here's it for you. Ye Chen was stunned when the system's voice came leisurely. How long has he been dreaming of this thing? Nearly 2/3 of Senju Hashirama's chat is from Sage Body, otherwise it wouldn't be necessary to use true several thousand hands. In other words, Ye Chen's spiritual power at the moment, even if it can't be compared with Hashirama, but with a big move, it shouldn't be a problem to persist for dozens of seconds. But Ye Chen didn't feel happy because of all the things in the city in front of him, which is what worries Ye Chen the most. Silently squeezed the golden ball and muttered, as soon as I want to become stronger, you give good things, right? Ye Chen smiled helplessly. The system was too lazy to deal with Ye Chen. Zhang Daosheng was also very helpless. These were the only things he could teach Ye Chen. Moreover, how strong can the auxiliary system go? Zhang Daosheng turned and left silently, feeling extremely heavy. After all, for an 18-year-old child, the cruelty of war is far beyond his imagination. Where did this go? It was just a roar from an alien beast. Enter the mountain moving realm early. At that time, you will have the real authority of this system. You are only in the assessment period now. Ye Chen was silent, not knowing what he was thinking about. Zhang Daosheng went to the city lord of Zhanghai City, ready to ask if he needed any help. But I never thought that I met Baizhen on the way. Teacher, I want to ask you one thing. Zhang Daosheng closed his eyes. I will accompany you, Bei. Zhan was stunned. He didn't even say what to do, but the Lion King is afraid that his strength has improved a lot. Very dangerous. Zhang Daosheng shook his head slightly. It's okay. Now, he just wants to find the Lion King for an explanation. Baizhen nodded, stopped talking, and was about to leave. Go and see Ye Chen. That kid is worried about things in the city. Bei Zhan is at a loss. What does the teacher mean? But I didn't ask too much. The teacher let me go. There must be his reasons on the other side. Dong Shizhang was furious. The Zhu Shen below was so frightened that he was going crazy, and Zhao Zixuan was no exception. Zhang Heicheng had a black-robed envoy taking good care of it, but suddenly a red-robed envoy came. After venting, Dong Shizhang glared at Zhu Shen coldly. Where is that kid named Ye Chen? Zhu Shen quickly kowtowed in response. In Zhanghai number 1 middle school. Go, follow me. Catch Ye Chen. Zhao Zixuan on the side was confused. What was he doing with Ye Chen? Isn't that a freshman of the Sky Academy? Before the two could react, Dong Shizhang grabbed Zhu Shen's collar. He flew in the direction of Zhanghai number 1 middle school, leaving Zhao Zixuan a lonely life of doubt. The city was completely paralyzed. At this moment, Dong Shizhang was flying in the air without anyone noticing. On Ye Chen's side, with the advanced sage body, the healing power of spiritual power is even stronger after Ye Chen's efforts. Most of the people woke up. The entire Zhanghai number 1 middle school was in an uproar. I didn't expect this so-called arrogant new student to spend spiritual energy to heal so many people. Ye Chen, it seems to be pretty good. Why are there such rumors before? I don't know. People are afraid of being famous and pigs are afraid of being strong. Maybe he has awakened his SSS talent, and some people are uncomfortable with him. It's not impossible. When Baizhen saw that he was doing his best to instill spiritual power in the students not far away, he couldn't help but feel happy. It seems that his apprentice is a kind person. If Ye Chen heard this sentence, he would definitely not help laughing. He's not a good person. He can only say that he's doing his best. If someone provokes him, he's already on the kill list. Still kind? Don't make trouble. Zai-chan, rest for a while. Baizhen stepped forward and said to Ye Chen. Ye Chen suddenly turned around. Senior brother, why are you here? I came to see the teacher, but the teacher asked me to see you. Bei Zhan shrugged, indicating that Zhang Daosheng asked him to come. Old Zhang, Ye Chen muttered. Baizhen patted Ye Chen on the shoulder. Don't call me senior brother in the future. Call me big brother Bei. Calling senior brother always feels like a birth. Okay, big brother Bei. Ye Chen smiled and didn't refuse point after all. Judging from the current situation, Basin's attitude towards him is indeed very friendly. Let's go, rest for a while, and let's talk a little. Basin grabbed Ye Chen's shoulder and walked out of the house. It seems like a good brother who has known each other for many years. The people around them all opened their mouths wide, not daring to make a sound until the two left. That, won't it be Senior Basin? Probably. I actually saw Senior Basin. It is said that the senior is already the Rear Admiral Army, and he is the one who manages the border guards of Zhanghai City. That guy Ye Chen, isn't he too lucky to make Senior Basin treat him so well? The noise rang out, and the noise returned to calm. Basin and Ye Chen also stopped. Many students looked at Basin, who suddenly stopped and looked puzzled. Why didn't you leave suddenly? I saw Basin looking up at the sky, sweat dripping from his forehead. Ye Chen was stunned, glanced at Basin, and followed Basin's gaze. In an instant, Ye Chen's back trembled. Flight. This is the starry sky. Yo, isn't this a white battle? I haven't seen you for a few years, and I'm already stepping into the starry realm. I really didn't see you wrong back then. You're very talented. It was Deng Shizhang who came, and I saw him standing above the sky, teasing Basin with a playful face. What are you doing here? Basin's tone became colder. The person in front of him is too familiar to him. If Zhang Daosheng is his teacher, then Deng Shizhang is his predecessor. That, the senior who has guarded Zhanghai City for decades. Can he betrayed Daza and joined the Beast God cult? Chapter 24. Deng Shizhang fights 3 with 1. What? I'll come and see you. Deng Shizhang smiled. His eyes paused on Ye Chen. Although it was only a momentary pause, it was discovered by Basin. He stretched out his hand and embraced Ye Chen behind him. I don't care what you want to do, but Zhanghai City doesn't welcome you. Bei Zan stretched out his right hand, the tiger's mouth down. A long sword was held in his hand. The sword is 3 feet and 1 inch long and 3 fingers wide. Sword named Changkong. This is Basin's talent. Special class, sword. I haven't seen you for so long, and you're going to fight me as soon as you come up. Deng Shizhang couldn't help laughing. Ye Chen looked at the long sword in Basin's hands, surprised. Is there such a talent? Suddenly, Basin thought of something. His eyes narrowed slightly. You caused that lion roar. Deng Shizhang was stunned, a little uncomfortable, and snorted coldly. HMPH. Old man, I don't have the strength to shake a West Wind Lion King in the Bright Moon Realm. Bei Zan was shocked, and the whole school was shocked. Even Zhang Daosheng, who noticed something was wrong, swallowed. Hoarsely. Bright Moon Realm. Then he smiled bitterly. I still want to take revenge. It's hard to get to the sky. Ridiculous. Bei Zan continued to ask with a gloomy face. It's not you. What are you doing here in Zhanghai City? I said it. I miss you. Deng Shizhang smiled. Then you should go to the military region to find me, instead of coming to school. Basin raised his long sword and pointed at Deng Shizhang. Deng Shizhang smiled. Basin, you are just too smart. You know, people, sometimes you have to learn to pretend to be confused. Zhang Daosheng felt bad when he heard the words. Deng Shizhang joined the Beast God cult for several years. This is clear to everyone. In Zhanghai City, apart from the West Wind Lion King, what else is worthy of the Beast Gods? Then there's only dragons. That dragon that Ye Chen encountered some time ago. Thinking of this, Zhang Daosheng was ready for battle. Ye Chen, this kid is very good and must be kept. Basin is not a fool. After listening to what he said, he also understood. He put Ye Chen behind him and said in a low voice, when you find an opportunity, run away first. Ye Chen was confused and just wanted to ask why, but saw Basin's nervous expression and nodded to show that he knew. Zhanghai City doesn't have what you're looking for. Please come back. Basin stared at Deng Shizhang intently. For fear of the other party taking advantage of their own unpreparedness. Seeing this situation, Zhang Daosheng quickly stepped forward to evacuate the students. Just as he was about to take Ye Chen away, Deng Shizhang spoke up. They can leave, and you can leave too, but Ye Chen has to stay. Deng Shizhang was suddenly full of murderous intent. Ye Chen suddenly realized that the opponent's goal had always been himself. Zhang Daosheng frowned when he heard the words and instructed the students behind him, evacuate all the people in the school and those within 10 miles. The students behind him were stunned. Zhang Daosheng continued, I'll leave this to you. Yes. The students behind him said in unison. Quickly mobilized to evacuate nearby people. Deng Shizhang did not stop the group of students. After all, to him, it was just a group of ants, not to mention Zhanghai City. Even if it is Yunhai City, no one can stop him, because at this moment, the power of the human race is all on the front line. Except for the immortal existences in some families, they couldn't possibly make a move for a little boy at all. Yo. Who am I? It turned out to be old man Deng. I haven't seen him for 3 years, and he's ugly again. If you don't listen to people, listen to their voices first. Lan Wanba, do you want to join in the fun too? What's wrong? It's disturbing my Zhanghai City, and even my precious daughter is stunned. Lan Batian suddenly raised his head and stared at Deng Shizhang. Laozi, I'm in a very grumpy mood right now. Old man Deng, are you ready to be beaten up? Zhang Daosheng watched the scene without speaking and took a step forward. A wisp of frost appeared near the body. A fierce tiger also appeared behind Lan Batian. The Bazan sword pointed at Deng Shizhang. The four faced each other for a long time, and Deng Shizhang suddenly laughed. Do you think you can beat me with only the 3 of you who don't have the Star Elm? Lan Batian immediately became angry. You won't be able to beat it until you know it. Lao's mother really wants to try out the sandbags in Fangxingjing today. After he finished speaking, the wind-winged tiger behind Lan Batian was possessed. The 2-meter-high strong man rose into the air, with a pair of pale cyan wings appearing behind him. His eyes glowed with blue light, and the speed skyrocketed dozens of times. This is the terrifying part of Fingaiahu's talent, strengthening the body, strengthening the speed, and attaching the ability to fly. Zhang Daosheng and Bazan looked at each other and nodded. Tiger. Hunting. Lan Batian roared. Several sharp claws emerged from Lan Batian's fist and stabbed towards Deng Shizhang. Deng Shizhang shook his head helplessly, and a light blue shield appeared in front of him. The moment Lan Batian's sharp claws came into contact with the light blue shield, it was like a stone sinking into the sea, and the shield absorbed the attack. You are still the same as before, a reckless husband. Deng Shizhang said lightly. Pointing with a finger, a water column appeared out of thin air. Many small water droplets are formed. With a light hook of his finger, those water droplets accelerated instantly, flying towards Lan Batian like bullets. Lan Batian's speed is very fast. Although he is huge, he is a wind-winged tiger in the speed department. He quickly controlled his body and retreated to the back point, but the gap in strength is too huge, and he is not as fast as these water droplets. Seeing that he was about to collide, Lan Batian gritted his teeth and planned to use his physical body to resist. At this moment, in front of Lan Batian, an ice wall instantly appeared. It was Zhang Daosheng who did it. Ice is the upper system of water, but water is more varied than ice. Each has its own merits, but water must be restrained by ice. I saw that the moment the water droplets touched the ice wall, they solidified and remained motionless. Seeing this, Deng Shizhang couldn't help but smile. Interesting. Lan Batian glanced at Zhang Daosheng and nodded. Zhang Daosheng raised his hands, and icebergs rose from the ground. Seeing this, Bazan stopped watching the battle. His figure flashed, and he stepped on the iceberg and killed Deng Shizhang. After all, among the 3, only Lan Batian has a combat capability. Although both Bazan and Zhang Daosheng have long-range attacks, the opponent is too flexible in the air, only looking for opportunities to melee. Deng Shizhang finally got serious and looked at Zhang Daosheng below. He frowned slightly. I've never seen this old thing before. The reason why Deng Shizhang guards Zhanghai City is because he is the starry realm of the water system. Zhanghai City is on one side of the sea. Although it is a sea, it can be regarded as water, and Zhang Daosheng is also Zhanghai City, where Deng Shizhang abandoned the human race. Deng Shizhang naturally never saw it. However, now Deng Shizhang's killing intent is gradually rising. Ice element. It's really troublesome. Gotta kill him first. Has anyone read it and commented, wow, I always feel like I'm on a standalone machine and no one cares about me. So angry. Originally, it was said that there will be 4 shifts from yesterday, but I do have something to do, and I may have to go to Fuzzhow, so my manuscript will not be posted for the time being, and when I finish my work. Chapter 25 The Wrath of the Sea God, sacrifice his life for justice. On Ye Chen's side, he was already hiding such a fight. He wasn't sure whether he could use Wooden Golem or True Several Thousand Hands after using it. Can it damage it? This is all unknown. That Dong Shizhang's ability to control the water was too strong, and with a slight wave of his little hand, he could make Lan Batian retreat by 3 points, and even thought of using his body to carry it down. Ye Chen is very entangled in his heart. His strength is still too low. However, a system is frantically complaining. Nyang Zippy, you have a high level sage body now. Can you go and fuck him? After I came to this world, I wanted to see the real version of True Several Thousand Hands for a long time. Lan Batian came up to him, disrupting Dong Shizhang's line of sight. Basin is hiding in the messy ice Yamanaka. Waiting for an opportunity. Zhang Daosheng controlled the ice with one hand and assisted the actions of the 2-point help. Lan Batian block Dong Shizhang's attack and create ice cubes for Basin. This gave Dong Shizhang a lot of anger. Although his strength far surpassed them, this ice type guy was too troublesome. Dong Shizhang, who was originally fearless, became more and more angry, and his killing intent became heavier and heavier. Lan Batian narrowed his eyes slightly. Bengshan, with a punch, Dong Shizhang's shield stopped it again. Old man Dong, your heart is messed up. Lan Batian roared. Dong Shizhang was slightly taken aback when he heard the words, and the light blue water shield in front of Dong Shizhang instantly shattered like ice cubes. What? My shield? Dong Shizhang never dreamed that his shield would be frozen. Die. Lan Batian slammed his wings behind him and added a little more strength in his hands. A punch in the chest. Dong Shizhang flew upside down, a stream of blood pouring out of his mouth. Good boy, you are good at strength. Dong Shizhang looked at Lan Batian and smiled instead of anger, but suddenly found that Lan Batian was looking at him with a smile on his face. Jian Yi, Broken Mountain. Dong Shizhang turned his head slowly, his eyes full of disbelief. I saw Basin holding the sword in one hand and provoking it from the bottom to the top. A violent sword energy slashed out, and Dong Shizhang was shocked. This is no joke. The fist hurt most internally. I'm afraid that this sword key will take half my life to resist. His body is not that strong yet. 9 layers of water mirror. Dong Shizhang roared. The previous water shield will be frozen. That can only be used with stronger defense. The moisture in the air was instantly drawn out by Dong Shizhang, forming 9 huge mirror-like water walls. Zhang Daosheng narrowed his eyes slightly and raised his right hand slowly. Absolute zero. He wants to freeze this 9-layer water mirror. Dong Shizhang wanted to stabilize his body, but the previous punch was Lan Batian's full strength. Although he can fly, it is simply floating in the air, and he adjusts the direction with the help of this spiritual energy. It is not that he can do whatever he wants. Dong Shizhang anxiously watched as his Jiazhang water mirror was slowly crystallizing. Arsehole, Bei Zan slashed out with a sword, and then jumped up with the help of this iceberg. The sword key cut off several heavy water mirrors and finally stopped. Even if it condenses into ice, this defense is still so powerful. Dong Shizhang hit the water mirror, panting heavily. Hahaha, I was almost killed by your group of ants. I saw Basin falling from the sky. Jian collapse. Bei Zan held swords in both hands and slashed with one sword. Dong Shizhang looked up. Boy Bei, can you let me take a breath? Dong Shizhang stood with his feet on the water mirror. No, it was on the ice mirror. With the help of the ice, he kicked his feet. Dodged the attack. Ye Chen is already dumbfounded. Lan Batian stood above the sky, looking down at Dong Shizhang. After Basin was dodged by Jian, the long sword in his hand was inserted into the iceberg, hung on the iceberg, and then an icicle appeared under his feet. Basin finally had a place to stay. Do you still want to fight, old man Dong? Lan Batian looked at Dong Shizhang coldly. Everyone knows that a starry realm is not so easy to fall. If you can make the other party retreat, it is also good. But Dong Shizhang did not answer, but turned to look into the distance. Almost. Lan Batian was a little puzzled, but Basin was really upset. Not good. Everyone, run. I saw Deng Shizhang raised his position again and looked down at the entire Zhanghai city. Unfortunately, Zhanghai city, which I have guarded for so many years, is going to be destroyed by my own hands today. Deng Shizhang had a nostalgic look on his face. In the next second, he looked grim. This trick, I like to call it Sigurd's wrath. Behind Deng Shizhang, a wave hundreds of meters high appeared. Zhang Daosheng and others' faces changed greatly. Countless people in the city who had just woken up from the roar of the lion saw a wave hundreds of meters high in the sky. Immediately knelt down helplessly. An air of despair pervades the city. Deng Shizhang, are you trying to destroy Zhanghai city? Do you know what you are doing? The hundreds of meters high waves, like a miracle, stopped in midair waiting for Deng Shizhang's command. This is a reason why Deng Shizhang sat in Zhanghai city back then, but now he is controlling the sea water and intends to destroy Zhanghai city. When this wave is taken, Zhanghai city will be destroyed. Hundreds of meters high, although it cannot cover the whole city, the strong impact is enough to collapse the high-rise building. Countless people drowned. Of course I know what I'm doing. Deng Shizhang smiled slightly. Destroy your Zhanghai city. Basin was furious. Deng Shizhang, do you really ignore the tens of millions of people in this city? Deng Shizhang was stunned for a moment and kept his mouth shut. After slowly closing his eyes, he raised his right hand, stretched out 2 fingers, and bent slightly. Take a deep breath. Don't blame me. What? Basin wanted to say. A voice came from behind Zhang Daosheng. Wait. Ye Chen stood up. Deng Shizhang raised his brows and joked. You ask me to wait? I have to wait. Destroy a city of the human race. Even you will be included in the must-kill list by the human race, right? Ye Chen suddenly raised his head and looked at the figure in the sky. I'll go with you. You let Zhanghai city go. Ye Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. Now he had to find a way to kill the other party. No. Zhang Daosheng roared. Ye Chen didn't look back and said again, let them go. I can go with you. In fact, Zhanghai city is the city of the human race, but to Ye Chen it is not as important as Zhang Daosheng and Basin behind him. After all, as a fatherless person, once again experience the warmth. It is really infatuation. Little dust, brother. Yi, Bei, Zan and Lan Batian also looked at Ye Chen in shock. Deng Shizhang was stunned, then laughed. Ha 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 ha. Good. Ye Chen. You're right. If Zhanghai city is destroyed, I won't get any benefits. You say it again. Deng Shizhang's voice swept the entire city. Ye Chen took a deep breath and roared. I'm going with you. Let go of Zhanghai city. Zhang Daosheng's nose was sour, and his attitude was firm. No, I don't agree. He grabbed Ye Chen, who was about to step forward. Ye Chen looked down at Zhang Daosheng. With a slight smile, he pushed Zhang Daosheng's hand away. Beizan and Lan Batian were helpless, and the wave in front of them fell. Unstoppable. There are bound to be countless casualties in the city. Ye Chen on one side, Zhanghai city on the other. Hard to decide. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.